Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ring Post Radio, the only podcast that is back on a Sunday. That's right. We've been on Mondays for a century. We're back on a Sunday. Spoiler alert, we'll be back on a Monday next week. I'm your host, Ryan Knightsey, the voice of the Tasteless. And with me, as always, is the man, the myth, the legend, Scotty Edwards. Scotty, how are you doing on this fine Sunday morn?
Great. I had like a day off yesterday from recording, so it's like a new day today.
The first comment, Dylan. I wonder how tired Scott is.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I did wake up at 5, showered, and just watched the Marigold show. So like so even though I had a day off yesterday, I'm still going. I'm still gonna be tired. And it's raining out, so like naturally I'm gonna be a little bit down and tired, but I feel great right now.
Yeah,
we'll see how the show goes. As you know, as you also know, we did have you and me recorded something on Friday night, and I started that show tired and then found the adrenaline kick of some sort that may get me yelled at by the end, but hey, that's what a teaser's for. But yeah, I'm feeling good right now. I'm on a great kick. So you got me at a good time to talk things I have less interest in, but that's fine. That's fine.
Mayu, of course, is going to be a
talking
point
God.
today.
Thank God. Boy, do I not give a shit about Backlash. People probably like look at the graphic that I put together for the show, and they're like, well, why is John Cena and Randy Orton in the middle? Because it's the only one that was in high quality. That's why. That's just the truth. And I guess that's like a big deal out of any big deal from that show. But
you don't want to put Gunther and Pat McAfee on the poster?
Could you imagine? I didn't even know that was happening. I'm not gonna lie. I haven't watched WWE or AEW in 2 weeks, and I mean, can you blame me after all the stuff I've done the past 2 weeks?
At least last week, like I don't blame you at all. At the very
least, the week before was the lead up to Queendom, so like it was that was post-Mania, so I was like, I'm kind of tired of this past week. So like the mix of not really wanting to watch wrestling, then preparing, then this past week, it's kind of natural. The fact that I got to watch 2 of the shows that we are talking about here today is shocking. Because boy, oh boy, it was like pulling teeth at some points, because I was like, I'm tired. I want to sit down. But at least one match I really liked, so it worked out.
What it sounds like ultimately is that like your to make it understandable maybe for the listeners is that it's almost like your WrestleMania weekend, like your WrestleMania weekend went 2 weeks longer. Like that's how like busy you sort of got. Like everyone was like, "Oh, we're watching a billion things." You're like, "I'm still going."
Yeah,
so I'm in the background still going.
Right, like during WrestleMania week, that's when like the people are most busiest, right? Because they record, like especially content creators, because they'll record a lot, they'll review all these shows. Mm-hmm. For me, knowing what was coming, it was not going to be unmatchable. As I said on Twitter, before you and me recorded that thing Friday night, I had officially recorded for 14 hours, 11 minutes, 11 seconds. That's only elevated since then, but like that was a long span. I'm proud of it. I'm happy with it. I appreciate anyone that's watched any of it. If you've watched all of it, you might be crazy. You might be listening to this too, so I appreciate that as well.
In which case, you are crazy.
Yeah, you are crazy for sure. I don't have that many thoughts. Like I don't have that many original thoughts. Like most of the things that come out of me these days are like, Mayu's the GOAT. I'm happy. Blah blah blah. Like those are the things. Those are a few things I've said in every single video I've done this week, essentially. But well, except for the one that we did. I guess that one was fun because that wasn't the same thing that I've been doing all week. So I was like, ooh, something different. And this is different too because, like you said, we get to talk about Pat McAfee.
Lock in, folks. Lock in.
It's like Ryan hates me.
No.
Hey, whoa. Hey,
that is certainly not true. Yes, we do have a lot of stuff to get to. We do have like a weirdly big show. Thank you for getting rid of that comment. No offense to Dylan, but I forgot that was up there for some reason. We got a lot of stuff, weirdly, a lot of stuff to get to. Of course, a lot of WWE stuff, Backlash, of course, but of course, the WWE releases that have happened in this past week, along with the Ring Boy lawsuit update. Apparently, there's also a third lawsuit that just happened that Brandon Thurston's tracking with the WWE shareholders and the TKO purchase. I mean, I'll bring that up, I guess, at one point. Mayu Iwatani joins Marigold, so we'll do I'm not going to call it a victory lap on our part, Scotty. But last week was certainly us being like, yeah, we know she's probably going to go to. Most likely, she's going to Marigold, and guess what? She showed up at Marigold.
I appreciate Dave for making my victory lap stronger this week. It meant a lot. Like he was like, I know Scott's been through a lot this past year. What if I made it better for him? And I appreciate that. It means a lot.
We'll, of course, stay in the Wrestle Universe world and talk about Noah's Memorial Voyage show, which is a big-time show, of course, with Kenta challenging for the GAC title. Did he win? We'll discuss. And then we'll end our show with a crap ton of New Japan, Wrestling Dontaku, 2 nights of Wrestling Dontaku, and then previewing New Japan Resurgence this Friday, I believe, and then Best of Super Juniors, which starts this Saturday. We'll sort of talk about that finally. In hindsight, should we have talked about it last week? Maybe. Well, maybe not last week. Last week was also kind of long, but I think we'll be fine no matter what. So a lot of stuff to get to. We'll start off with WWE and talk about the WWE releases. Thursday, they released a lot of back of house individuals, including what was it, a writer in like the senior VP of creative development or something like that. Basically, as far as I understand it, her job was apparently similar to Bruce Pritchard's, and so they just got rid of the woman hired instead of Bruce Pritchard, which will be a theme, of course, of the talent releases of Friday. The releases of Friday are as follows, as far as I can tell. Shayna Baszler, Dakota Kai, Braun Strowman, Kaden Carter, and Katana Chance, the tag team. Gigi Dolan, Eddie Thorpe, Javier Bernal, Ora Mensa, the team of Gallus, Mark and Joe Coffey, and Wolfgang, Cora Jade, Riley Osborne, Jakara Jackson, and Shotzi Blackheart. None of those, I think there's we'll talk about it, obviously, Scotty, but none of those are I guess only Cora Jade is the biggest surprise of this group for me, but none of them truly are massive surprises. But I think there's discussions to be had no matter what with a good portion of these people. So what are your thoughts, of course, I guess, overall in the W releases, and then we can go sort of quickly, I guess, name by name and just give some quick thoughts.
Yeah, W sucks, dude. I don't know who needs to hear that. But when it comes to this shit, they're the worst. And
I believe a week earlier they said they don't bench people.
Yeah.
They were and we made $40 million on ticket sales or whatever.
And I understand a lot of people naturally want to blame TKO because margins and shit, but I'm sorry, I don't think TKO knows the wrestlers to release. I think only one man knows those. So let's blame him too. But yeah, it sucks. Happens every year, so it's not shocking every time it happens, but it still feels as crappy. You never want to see anyone lose their job. You never want to see anyone lose their livelihood, even if they're frustrated. These wrestlers weren't asking to leave. None of them have reportedly said oh, I want it out. No, that was never the case. Obviously, some of them
certainly could. Behind the scenes, we don't know.
And we know some of them were very open. Dakota Kai was pretty open. By the way, I'm not hurt. And sadly, those are the things you have to say to change anything. So that's the facts. Cora Jade was probably the most shocking by far, I thought, just because this is a wrestler they obviously had high hopes for, and I never saw her being released. Me
neither.
Especially because it feels like they never got to fully try with her. So then they just kind of all right, we're done. And it's I'm not sitting here saying I'm the biggest Cora Jade fan. I didn't think she was all too good. But from a perspective of WWE, it's you had to give her more time. She didn't ever do anything to even try to figure it out. But hey, listen, a lot of these wrestlers are now going to go wherever and hopefully have a spark. And for the NXT ones, they only got to wait a month, so that's always nice. And then for the likes of the Dakota Kais of the world, you hope for the best for them. Was she released previously?
Yes.
Yeah, she was.
Remember, she was released.
She was one of the many.
One of the many released, and then she was part of the Gauntlet and came back with Damage Control and SummerSlam.
Yeah, so like
there were a couple of Gauntlet people here. Braun Strowman is a Gauntlet guy.
Yeah, he's been released like 10 times, which obviously sucks for him too. Yeah, this all sucks. Like that at the end of the day, that's what this is that it's all crappy, it's all not good, and it's all WWE just being corporate America through every bit of it. That's what it is.
Yep.
So obviously I'm wishing each of them the best. Jakara Jackson was actually a real shock. That really shocked me. She was legitimately on TV a decent chunk. Like she did, like she was part of a tag team. She to me had a future. Like there was something there, but they cut her. And like there's other people that they don't use at all that are still there. I'm not gonna name names.
Scotty, they don't put anyone on a bench. What are you talking
about?
No,
I know. But like there's legitimately people that like don't get used, right? They don't get used at all. You don't see them do.
They're not on the bench. They're just not being used. Okay.
Of course. Yeah, of course. And they still made it, which is great. Because again, I don't want anyone losing their jobs. But when you see like a Jakara Jackson get released, or even a Braun Strowman, like who's been on TV pretty periodically, you just kind of walk away like, oh,
yeah.
It's always weird, like the names that pop up. So I wish them all the best. I hope some of them really stand out. Like, I'm gonna root for all of them. I have nothing against them. I think. Is there someone I don't like?
Well, maybe a member at least of Gallus.
I take it back. I don't feel bad for any of Gallus, actually, based on track record. So yeah,
I believe it's only one.
It's not only one.
Is it okay? Good. I thought
it's at least two of them.
I thought it was only Joe Coffey.
It's at least Joe Coffey and Wolfgang. I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Well,
but
I'll slap a legend on that because just
yeah. But either way, you don't want anyone to lose their job, so I'm rooting for those who did to go out there and crush it. And I'm sure some of them will find homes, like the likes of Akora Jade. Like you can see instantly get picked up if she wants. That would be pretty cool for her to like figure things out herself. Jakara Jackson should be, because she's young and seems like she was one of the ones that got a lot of support I saw from just like fans that don't even follow WWE. So yeah, so you just kind of root for them. And the worst of the week was like people trying to back up these releases. Like, no, there's no backing this up. They're making record profits. Like there's
they just touted that they're making like 400 million. What was it? I think it was 400 million or 40 million dollars at WrestleMania ticket sales alone.
Yeah.
SummerSlam is like what? The front row of SummerSlam is $10,000 or something crazy like that.
Yeah, it's absurd. Like I will never go to a WWE show again, which is fine because I don't want to, but also because the ticket prices are ridiculous. So like when John Cena comes back to Boston, I'll happily watch him on my TV.
When John Cena, people talk about how his like last show should be at Fenway, right? And people have been pitching that idea online. Like, just think how expensive the cheapest ticket for that show will be. At least $300-$400, you have to think. And this will be in December, right? So who knows what, the political tangent of how the economy is going to be by the end of the year. So I'm just sort of fascinated by like how WWE can like talk about this sort of corporate greed of this making millions upon millions of dollars of WrestleMania that could easily pay for all of these people's contracts, but then cut them nevertheless. Well, let's go a little one by one. I guess I should say also overall, I'm looking at all these names, and I can maybe pick like a couple people that are like, Dakota Kai and like an AEW, sure. But there's overall, there's no one in here that like super gets me going of like one of like an AEW type person. Shayna Baszler to a certain degree, just in terms of like her look and different style, and you maybe get Ronda that way, but even then, like I'm not going for it because I think Shayna's not been great for the past several years. So, like, overall, it's like there may be a couple, maybe I'm looking at an Eddie Thorpe and Gigi Dolan once again. I don't know. But overall, I think for me, Scotty, most of these people, I'm looking at TNA. And even then, TNA is obviously cutting costs right now. Are they cutting costs to then pick up a bunch of WWE rejects? I don't think they are. So I kind of think for a lot of these people, it's going to be TNA or bust, or rather the indies, I should say. So I guess we'll find out. Like, I just don't see, I think truly I see TNA for a lot of these people. Like Katana, Chance, and Kaden Carter as a tag team. That obviously screams to me as like a knockouts tag division sort of thing. But at the same time, it's like, is TNA going to pick up a bunch of people? They've slowly picked up people, like one or two, three people every once in a while. But, they're also cutting a lot of people, a lot of the big time talent. And some of these people are going to want to be paid, I'm thinking, a little bit more than not. So I'm just sort of like, we'll see how many of these people pop up on our televisions again, which kind of sucks. I think just like it's a bad time for the state of, wrestling world to try to get picked up and move somewhere else. So I guess we'll see. But let's go one by one a little bit real quickly. Just give some quick thoughts. Starting off with Shayna Baszler, of course. I guess where we left off, she was in a tag team and she wasn't really doing anything. She was popping up in blood sport shows. Do you have any big grandiose thoughts about Shayna Baszler?
Severely underutilized once she got to the main roster. I don't care.
Remember when she came to the main roster as a vampire?
Yeah, she's a vampire. Yeah. Listen, that would be in now because Sinners is so good. Maybe not then. Sinners, fantastic if you haven't seen it. But yeah, like Shayna was always fascinating to me because it was so easy. Mm-hmm. I thought, and why make it easy when you can ruin it? And she never really got to come back from that,
Yeah.
And unfortunately, like you said, it's like not surprising now that we get here, but like, I don't know. She seemed like a real good trooper in many ways, like all she ever got to do was blood sport and things like that. But hey, I think she still has something to bring to the table. I don't really know like what she is at full capacity now. Yeah. Because, you don't get that in blood sport. And she, like you said, was in a tag team. So I'm fascinated to see what that looks like. And I'm wishing for her the best.
She's also 44 years old, which is actually a lot older than I thought she was.
Older. Yeah, she's older.
So we'll sort of see where she goes from here. Dakota Kai, I think she is out of this whole group, maybe has like the most most chance to pop up somewhere else on television. I think AEW is a good shot for her as well for Dakota Kai. Like it's the same thing of like Ruby Riott, right? It's like the same sort of idea of like, a sort of women's
but I got there.
Ruby
Riott.
A women's indie Ruby Soho, that's her name. I was gonna say Heidi Lovelace, and then I changed to Ruby Riott, and then I got there with Ruby Soho. But sort of there with like Dakota Kai of like a sort of like the woman indies of the 2010s.
Yeah.
So I could see maybe that pop up. But at the same time, she also has injuries. She also has these other things. If not AEW, I think she'll certainly pop up on TNA. I think that's someone you go for. She's still a very good wrestler. So we'll see if anything happens to her.
Had she not been re-signed the last time, she would have been in Japan as part of Stardom. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That was the thing that was going to happen. Her and Io, but they got brought back, joined Damage Control, and the rest is history.
Well, then my question for you, Scotty, is that a Stardom thing or is that a Rossi thing? AKA, could you see her popping up in Marigold or Stardom?
I wouldn't rule either one out because she's a name.
Sure.
And I don't think Stardom would necessarily shy away if she expressed interest. It's kind of why I like when we talk about Bea Priestley, I say the same thing. Like I don't think Stardom doesn't sign a lot of foreigners, but there is obviously a gap now with Teclagon. And if either of them were to show interest and maybe get in contact with someone that gets them in contact with Stardom, I could see that happen. With Dakota Kai, I do expect her to go to AEW, probably. That's kind of my expectation. But it wouldn't shock me if she wanted to go back to Japan because she was going to previously. And She's been there before. She's been in Stardom before. I think she held a title there too. I think she was an artist champion as well.
I want to say yes. I want to say I
Off the
saw
top
that
of my
pop up
head.
as the former Evie. If we all
Yeah,
recall.
it was her, Hiroyo Matsumoto, and Kelly Skater. What a team!
Yes, Kelly Skater. I remember that name.
They lost the belts to Threedom, so that's why they're famous. But yeah, you know, I think she is an interesting one because I do think there are possibilities for her to land kind of worldwide. But I think she will be the one that will not be hunting for work. Work will come to her, for sure.
And look, AEW would make sense because then she could also do Stardom at the same time as sort of I don't know about a dual contract. I'd be interested if they do a dual contract thing there. But at the very least, like she can do like AEW as her home base and then do Stardom for like shows and whatnot.
I think that would be a cool thing with AEW for wrestlers that aren't doing stuff to just kind of like if the other company in Japan wants them and they have nothing planned, they can just go over and do that. You know, I think that would be a cool thing. Which is something I always hoped for. I mean, I guess the only one we see that of is Takeshita, kinda, maybe a little.
Kevin Knight technically has a dual contract.
Kevin Knight, I guess, yeah. We'll see what Kevin Knight looks like post Best of Super Juniors. You know, we'll see how much New Japan he actually does. But you know, there's that possibility. It'd be cool if a women's wrestler got the opportunity next.
Yeah, I think so. I think Dakota Kai is probably the well, I guess Mercedes could do that, but no. Anyways, let's move on.
Mercedes likes to talk about it and then not do it. That's her thing these days. And listen, I know the Monet crew or whatever they're called will come at me. I don't care.
Well, look, I think the only way to figure out that information about Mercedes Monet is to text her. So
$99.99 can get you probably one singular text.
What a deal. Braun Strowman, obviously he was a gauntlet guy. He got cut. A lot of people are like upset when he got cut at the time. He came back as a gauntlet guy, was just kind of left as a mid-card worker, big man. Then he got injured, like he pulled his hamstring or something. Never really kind of got over that.
Hamstring.
Yeah, he slowed him down significantly. Put over the guys like Jacob Fatu, and I thought that little feud was nice.
I think he did a lot of decent work.
Yes, I think his return. I think with him, when he got cut the first time, I feel like I said this on the show many moons ago. This was years ago at this point, but I feel like I said at the time that like part of his problem is that like by becoming now like a multi-time world champion, he like outkicked his coverage a lot. Where it's like, how do you then put him back in the box of like a mid-card guy? And Vince couldn't figure that out, I guess, and they just cut him. And then by bringing him back and probably giving him less money to do all these sort of things.
I mean,
go ahead.
He is a fascinating one because I think he did the Big Show job really well.
Yeah.
In his second run, like, hey, we need you to put over this next monster. All right.
Yep.
And he made him look good most of the time. He made Bronson Reed look good. Jacob Fatu look good. So I think having that kind of guy around is good.
He can be a good hand if you want
to. Yeah, it's a good hand, good monster hand, which is something you can't just like make. Yeah, like you can't make that. Like that's just not something you can find. So him getting freed up is I don't think I'm not gonna call it fascinating because he didn't do much work the last time he was released.
No.
So like if he's done, he's done. But
I think he
should be proud of what he did.
I think he should be proud of what he did. I think he's done. I remember he recently, in the past like couple months or so, I saw this clip online. He
was the guy that Paul Heyman said like told him to do something and he didn't or whatever.
Yeah, but he was a guy. He did a clip, did an interview with Chris Van Vliet a while ago, and I saw the clip, and basically he's like in the clip is like, I truly believe that I was put on this earth to be a WWE superstar. And that is what my life is. And that was what my goal is. And here he is being cut again. And I think this is either it for Braun Strowman, or maybe this could be the wake up call of like, Braun, if you want to continue wrestling, it's not WWE. You got to move on and do something else. So, and I also maybe get another surgery as well to help out that hamstring. but we'll see.
I think he did take care of it.
Okay, but he definitely like slowed down significantly after the surgery, which at that size, I guess I don't blame.
I don't think he got surgery. I think that's the problem. I think he just like let it naturally heal.
Okay, well then, I guess we'll see if that. I guess
I remember the match had happened, and I remember him being like, "Oh my god!" And then he like came back like a few months later. I was like, "There's no way, like you're fully fresh." But hey, I will say, it won't happen. Not a shot. Braun Strowman in Japan would have been a fun thing. Yep. Once upon a time.
If we would have, it would have been cool to have Braun Strowman in Japan the last time around, but now way older, not way older, but like a couple years older, hamstring injuries, it's now like, I don't know. He's a guy to me that reads like if I want to be a WWE superstar for the rest of my life, I have to go to TNA. And so I wouldn't be shocked if we see him pop up there, or at least try to make an effort to go there. Lump these two together, Kaden Carter and Katana Chance. Sort of a long stream thing here as well. They're obviously a tag team. Once they got to the main roster, there really was nothing for them. But what's interesting here is that look, they are a full-on tag team. Shayna Baszler, one half of a tag team. Dakota Kai, she kind of was just a tag team wrestler at the end there. Gigi Dolan was a tag team in NXT. Jakara Jackson was a tag team in NXT. Shotzi Blackheart was part of Gigi Dolan's tag team as well with the other girl. I forget her name.
Tatum Paxley.
Yeah, thank you. A lot of halves of tag teams, and obviously Kaden Carter and Katana Chance, a full tag team. Not much is left, I fear, Scotty, of the women's tag team division.
Nope. Would you like a good reminder, by the way, that I just remember with Dakota Kai?
What's that?
She was in the women's intercontinental finals against Lyra Valkyria this year.
Yeah.
And lost. Not a lot of tag teams in a company that has a tag team champion that just went to Japan for a month. So they'll figure it out by then. I mean, here's the thing about them. They have a lot of talent in NXT, and that's all obviously what's going to be cycled into the main roster right now.
Yep.
You're seeing it with Julia and Roxanne and
Jordan Grace.
Kind of Stephanie Vaquer. She's just doing both right now. I guess Julia is too. But yeah, I mean that's the problem when people get obviously very excited for call-ups and whatnot, right? Is that there's a other end to this.
Yep.
And the other end is that people are going to be released because they're being replaced. And that's how WWE has and will continue to treat it. I don't know, like, again, you don't want anyone to lose their job. I guess the good thing for some of these wrestlers is they will get to now wrestle as they please, right? For some of them. Then there's the wrestlers that, in say AEW that, that's why you talk about the bench thing. And it's like, they don't get released because that's not usually what AEW does. So there's good and bad to it, but the bad is, and always will be, you don't want people losing their jobs. And these people losing their jobs because they're calling up people. It's not shocking that they got rid of a full tag team, as they call Roxanne and Julia, as a tag team.
Yeah, that's I guess that's a fair point. Another thing also about Dakota Kai is that the fact that she was recently pushed this year does make me feel, and not like benched properly.
And did work that I saw praise for.
Yeah. What's interesting about that is like, that seems very sudden for her to be cut all of a sudden. I wonder what changed. You know what I mean? Maybe it was that tweet that you mentioned earlier. Gigi Dolan, obviously former Priscilla Kelly on the Indies, going back, have to presume, as Priscilla Kelly on the Indies. Yeah, I thought she like kind of had a little bit of something right at the end of her tail end of the indie run. I thought she got really good. Then she went off to NXT. She had some looks with AEW. I imagine in part because of her husband at the time, in part because of her talent as well. But nepotism does wonders sometimes. Not to say that she's that, but moving on. But she moved on to NXT, and I think she did a good enough job. But then once she
got hurt at one point.
She got hurt at one point. The three-way split of Mandy Rose and JC Jane, the Toxic Attraction split, that kind of she kind of got the shaft end of that and never kind of fully recovered after that.
Because her and JC did a rivalry, and then she got hurt, and that pretty much just derailed the rest of her time, if I remember correctly.
I wouldn't be shocked if she gets maybe another look with AEW, but ultimately, she's
been working TNA. It wouldn't be shocking if they just brought her in.
I agree.
She's already been around.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, again, it sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Plain and simple. Like, good thing for her, she's an NXT release, so she'll be free quicker.
Yeah,
and that's me like trying to. I know like they get paid for the 90 days or whatever. But a lot of these people want to work. A lot of these people want to get to their lives, but you don't say no to the money and stuff. But
exactly.
That's the exciting part for them is they get to get right at it in a month when their name is still on people's minds, which is good.
Eddie Thorpe, real quickly, obviously the former Carl Fredericks, a guy that was about to be pushed by all counts, was about to be pushed in New Japan. And then last minute, he just said, no, never mind, and jumped to NXT.
Didn't he burn every bridge humanly possible before that?
As far as, reports are to be believed, yes.
I don't think it was reports. I think it was him tweeting.
Oh, yeah. I forgot all of his tweet stuff. Yeah.
He didn't get put in the G1.
A lot of people. Yes. He didn't get put in the G1 and he tweeted a bunch of stuff and they got real pissy about it.
Yeah.
Even though everyone was like, we're trying to push you. We're in the middle of pushing you. We're starting that. We're just New Japan. That's how it is.
I mean, he probably has some friends in a certain group that, could be trying to get him in. That group, of course, being the War Dogs. Because I saw Clark Connors commented with hashtag my dog for real. So,
yeah.
I mean, if the bridges aren't completely burnt, there's a chance for that. Otherwise, he'll figure it out on the indies, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, I real quickly with Eddie Thorpe, I just want to talk about like the alternate reality of if he didn't go to NXT and just stayed in New Japan. Like, just like thinking about the talent, all the talent of end up leaving. Because when did he join? Like 2021, I want to say.
He was there for a long time. He was always the like LA Dojo young lion.
No, I mean like when did he jump to NXT?
Oh, I have no clue. 2020, 2021, I have to guess.
That'd be my guess as well. 2023. Oh boy. 2023 is
34.
Yeah, he's 34. That is a lot older than I would like to see as well. Yeah, but 2023, that is what his career would have changed into if he just stayed in New Japan. Like, he probably could have been closer to if his talent would have exceeded that level, but pushed to the level of like, I wouldn't be shocked if like one of these Yota Tsuji, Yu Uemura guys at this point in time, Scotty? Like, with Okada gone, now Naito gone, like with everyone else at the top of the card gone, and they would have been pushing him in 2023, he would have been like one of those first guys of like, once Okada leaves, it would have been like, oh yeah, let's push, Carl Fredericks a little bit more, And now he's just kind of start over.
Yeah, I mean, I never thought he was all that good.
Sure.
So like him being pushed would have been interesting, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, he had kind of the first dibs of the likes that have become Gabe Kidd and Clark Connors and so on. Like he was always seen as the top guy out of that core. So yeah, you're probably right. Like, things happen. He doesn't burn bridges and say what he said. You never know. But yeah, like you said, now he has to restart, and we'll see how that goes. But listen, hear me out here. Eddie Thorpe, that name sucked. That gimmick sucked. So good luck to him.
Javier Bernal, I know nothing about this man.
Nope, got nothing.
Ora Mensa, 1/4 of
the metaphor. They cut two. Yeah, they broke up the metaphor on Tuesday, I've learned. And
I guess we'll throw in Jakara Jackson into this conversation with Ora Mensa.
Yeah, Jakara Jackson is one that I've seen. I think there's something there.
People like her because she's previously said that she's a big fan of Kenny Omega.
Wow, people like someone because of Kenny Omega. Never seen that one before. What was I saying?
Jakara Jackson and Ora Mensa.
Jakara Jackson, yeah. I've seen a lot of people ask maybe she can go to Japan for something. I mean, that's what everyone says. And that what everyone says, and no one ever does. That's the problem.
Menson, by the way, Mensa's not too bad. He's also 29 years old. That is kind of a guy I would take a look at.
Yeah, it's a guy that he could be something.
Yes. You know what I would do if I was AEW? If those rumors of a mixed tag tournament are true, I would bring in Ora Mensa and Jakara Jackson as like an outsider's
just toss
team.
them in there.
Yeah, why not? They're already a team essentially.
If that mixed tournament was true. Oh yeah, that was the one that Kenny brought up, right?
Yes.
Randomly.
Yes, randomly brought up. So we'll see how true that is, but I think that would be interesting.
Oh, who did he want to team with again?
I assume Riho.
Oh yeah, I remember the quotes though. He said Starlight Kid or Mayu Iwatani would be pretty cool. Let me know how that one goes.
Where does this turn on Kenny Omega all of a sudden, Scotty?
Oh, I don't know. Anyways, move on. Jakara Jackson's cool though.
What we recorded on the ballot is going to be quite an interesting conversation.
Jakara Jackson and Ora Mensa, I hope both find their way. They're both young, like you said. They're how old Ora Mensa? 28, 29?
29.
That's good. And Jakara Jackson's 30, so you never know. Let's give him a shot somewhere.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
That is enough. That is like a good age and enough of a foundation where it's like, yeah, I would bring them in just to get a look at them.
Yeah, I mean, somewhere they're gonna benefit someone. I think whoever gives them a shot. You know, those are the types that like under the radar. Maybe they weren't going to work in WWE, but they can work somewhere with the proper backing and freedom.
Yeah,
that would be a good word. So yeah, good for them. Hopefully they figured things out as well.
Gallus, the team of Wolfgang, Mark Coffey, Joe Coffey. I think the only notable thing for them is that the last thing that anyone remembers about Gallus is that they helped The Rock in his in-ring return at last year's WrestleMania.
Yeah, they sure did. He was boring as hell, just like them.
Riley Osborne. I don't remember anything about this man.
I think Riley Osborne's engaged to Bea Priestley.
Oh, well,
that sucks.
That really sucks.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that sucks.
I think so. I could be wrong, but I think so.
Well, look, another mixed tag tournament duo, I guess. Oh man, that does stink.
I could be wrong. No, they're married actually.
Oh, even I don't know if that's better or worse. I guess that's better. They got the wedding part down. You know, the most expensive part.
Yeah. Down. Oh, they both hail from England.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Good for them.
Then they'll show up in Rev Pro. I don't know. Progress.
I don't know. I know Priestley's free in 3 days, and she's been talking about it. So
okay,
we'll see where she pops up. Maybe I still think she goes to Stardom.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. Cora Jade, I think that, like you said, that's probably the most surprising one because she is somebody that like kind of got pushed very well. You know, she felt like she was a Shawn Michaels favorite.
She was supposed to be NXT champion like 4 times.
Yes.
No doubt in my mind.
She was obviously a CM Punk favorite. So
she was. She was 24 years old.
Yes. The problem with Cora Jade, obviously, is that she is somebody that had like ACL tear after ACL tear, multiple ones. Too. Almost like she is like when you think of the indictment of the NXT Performance Center coaching style for these women and all the sheer amount of ACL tears that come out of that Performance Center. Cora Jade is like not suspect number one, but like victim number one of the Performance Center because she's got like she blew out both of her knees.
Yeah. No, she did those in matches, though, I think. Well, one of them was definitely in a match. The other one, maybe not. The last one was.
But the idea of the training, then to do a match and you blow out
your knees. Yeah. I have a few points to make here with Cora Jade. One, why is Nikita Lyons still there? Two, again, I don't want anyone losing their jobs. Like,
I think she just popped up in TNA, so I think Nikita Lyons is a
No, she's going to Evolve, I think I saw.
I think it's both.
That's bad. Either way. Why? The other thing with Cora Jade I want to bring up because I saw people point this out, and again, this is just me going off what people said. Sure. She's one of the people that said something to Becky.
Yes, about the
Roxanne.
Yes,
and it's worth noting that Roxanne lost her push on the main roster pre-WrestleMania, and now Cora Jade is unemployed. I'm not saying that's the reason, but they both went from like kind of like Shawn Michaels' 2, right, to now like one's gone and one's just getting to the main roster and is in a tag team rather than the singles push now. So I do think that's fascinating. I do think that's noteworthy. That being said, I know a lot of people don't like Cora Jade. I don't know if she did anything to someone outside of that.
I think
But,
it's just, in my interpretation, I think it's just like an over push thing.
All right, she's the one that they said would be the new Sasha Banks, right? That's probably doesn't help her case.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah, so like that obviously didn't help her case. She never said that though. Like that was them, that right? With Cora Jade, she would have been NXT champion. She would have been all these things. The injuries obviously derailed her. Yeah, again,
not just the injuries derailed her, but like in the past year or two, once like NXT started bringing in your Vaquer, your Julias, your
she went from the obvious person to beat Roxanne to you're not beating her over these people.
Yeah, we have literally no room for you at the top of the NXT card.
Yeah, so obviously feel for her. But she's 24 years old. Like, yeah, she has 2 knee injuries, but she's 24 years old. Like, she's far from being a complete product. I know, like, she was like kind of a crazy wrestler before WWE to the point where like she did every indie under the sun.
Yep, I saw her live in 2020.
Yeah, her name was what, Elena Black, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
She did a death match before.
Yeah,
so like this is a wrestler that she's driven enough. Maybe she finds figures something out.
We also have to remember,
again, she's the youngest one we're talking about here by far.
You also have to remember that, like, whether or not this is true, she popped up on AEW Dark, and then all of a sudden, quickly after that, gets signed by NXT.
That's true. That did happen.
So AEW might have been taking a look at her as well, and I do recall her having an entrance, but it might have just been because
I think she signed.
They gave entrances to everybody.
I think she signed with this company when she was like 19 or 20. So, like, again, this is someone who was trying to make waves. She got signed. Good for her.
Yep.
But now she has a chance to, figure herself out. Again, some of these wrestlers are older, so you're like, they'll be signed or something. With her, anything's kind of possible. Again, I know she hasn't been great, but like, listen, when you go through so many knee surgeries, it's hard to probably like bounce right back. So, again, she's an interesting name. 1, because it's a shock they released her, but 2, there could be something there. So we'll see.
Like someone kind of like Eddie Thorpe, where it's like the alternate reality of not going to NXT at that point in time. Maybe she stays with AEW. Let's say, you could argue injury prone or not, but I think all the the sheer amount of ACL tears, I'm putting that on the Performance Center. So she's like not involved with the Performance Center in any sort of way, Scotty, and she's just like on AEW and whatnot. Like, she has still 2 working knees. She gets properly pushed at her level. She can raise her stock even more so that when she eventually jumps to NXT, then she's in a better spot. You know what I mean? Like, it's the same sort of thing of like Eddie Thorpe, where it's like, these people, sometimes the dream of going to WWE is such a siren song that they just kind of like forget about the rest of the career. And obviously for Cora Jade, she can't predict blowing out her knees in the through NXT. But like, what her career would have been different. Cora Jade is somebody that like could have been set up a little bit like a Mariah May, where she elevates her stock in another company and then makes the jump, So it's just sort of like, it is what it is. In hindsight's 2020, but I think, same thing with Eddie Thorpe. The hindsight here is you maybe made the wrong decision.
And here's another thing for Cora. I think she did make a good decision. She was someone they were very behind.
That is true.
Like, again, she was gonna be someone they really got behind and pushed. Because I remember when she first came in, she was a fan favorite very quickly, and I think again, injury prone, whatever you want to toss on her, that's gonna be what she's now going to try to prove she's not. So, again, I'm not going to, I don't think I should have anything against her. I don't think anyone should have anything against her. So you just kind of root for these wrestlers to figure themselves out. And especially her, we talk about, you compare her and Eddie Thorpe. The difference is a decade between these two. She is, again, 24 years old. This is when like some wrestlers start their careers. And she is years into it with indie experience pre. So
now
it'll be
TV
fascinating
experience as well.
Yeah, it'll be fascinating.
Just real quickly, finally, Shotzi Blackheart. She's someone that her contract wasn't renewed, so presumably she can work
so not
tomorrow.
a release.
So presumably she's available tomorrow.
Is she done or is she waiting?
I don't know. I mean, Shotzi Blackheart, obviously before NXT was a indie sort of darling to a certain degree, but I don't think anyone,
I saw her when she was an indie wrestler.
Yeah, she was an indie darling. Then she got picked up on NXT, pushed to a certain degree, but like never to a title contender, obviously.
She never made sense to me in WWE.
Yeah. I think they liked the tank gimmick, and then they took away the tank gimmick, and then she just was like a girl on the main roster.
She seems very determined. She already has made comments. Like, I think Cardona said, like, 1, you can like whine and complain, 2, or 3, you can go out there, set the world on fire, and try to make a bunch of money. And she's like, I'll take a lot of number 3. So she's the type of wrestler that might go down a crazy path too to try to prove herself.
She also, got signed based off of that Evolve show that they did. Remember, it was, if I recall, it was the Evolve show that went head to head with Fight for the Fallen in 2019, the charity show that AEW was putting on.
Where
she had a very brutal match with Raquel Gonzalez at the time.
It was,
dove through a pile of chairs or something like that.
I remember that.
Just more of that. I mean, that was 6-7 years ago at this point, but still, I mean, there's something there. If you bring that back, that edge back to Shotzi Blackheart, you can maybe get something.
Sure. So good luck to her.
A lot of these people, I think, are going to have chances on them. Dakota Kai, I don't think is necessarily one of them. I think you're right that people come to them, but a lot of these people, it's going to be, how the industry is right now. Is it set up for them right now? I'm kind of concerned about that, frankly, but we'll sort of see.
You made me look up that show that they aired.
The Evolve show?
Yeah. There's some crazy matchups here. Like, she faced Brandy Lauren in a no DQ match.
Oh, Brandy Lauren, yes.
AR Fox and Leon Ruff versus Eddie Kingston and Joe Gacy was on the show.
Leon Ruff, another guy that just went to NXT and then fell off and was never able
to
find anything.
Eddie Kingston. It's great.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, that's the thing with her. So hopefully she figures something out, finds her new role, and I'm sure she's gonna do something crazy like immediately. She seems like the type that will have a match and it'll go viral. Be like, here's what Shotzi's doing, and it's like destroying herself through a bunch of chairs or something.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens with a lot of these folks. A lot of names, and there's a lot of restrictions happening now in the wrestling scene outside WWE in terms of money making and all these sort of things. So, like I said, I am concerned for a lot of these people moving forward, but some of these people will find jobs, find TV jobs. Other people, hey, the indies always need more talent, so why not?
That's true. That's true. We'll see. We'll see who lands where.
Moving on real quickly, just an update here on the Ring Boys lawsuit. We're in the middle of that. One of many lawsuits affecting WWE, of course, also affecting a sitting, I don't know about sitting head of Department of Education because I'm not entirely positive. The last clip I saw of Linda McMahon was her saying that she's in the process of firing herself. So that's interesting. Anyways,
nice.
We have a sort of amendments to the Ring Boy lawsuit. This is from Post Wrestling. I'm going to read this here real quick. An amended lawsuit filed Monday in the U.S. District Court of the District of Maryland, expanding on claims of negligence against WWE, Vince McMahon, and Linda McMahon. The suit, which started last October, is brought by former Ring Boys who are anonymized and animized. You know what I'm saying. In the case, and allege the defendants knowingly allowed and failed to report sexual abuse, the plaintiffs say, that were committed by former ring announcer Mel Phillips. And in a new allegation, through, I believe, at least one, but there are 3 more John Does here in the report. In a new allegation, sexual abuse from former executive Pat Patterson as well. Obviously, there's always been kind of something about Patterson. Like I recall stories about him and Hulk Hogan. But Mel Phillips obviously being more of a lightning rod and sort of the Ring Boys part of things. Now Pat Patterson's being connected here as well to the Ring Boys on a governmental document. So this is I'm not going to go too far into it. The Post article has a lot more of like what the specific stuff is said here, about what some of the John Does say. I believe it's John Doe number 6 that describes his interactions with Pat Patterson. So the stuff is out there. I'm not going to necessarily read it. It is very difficult. Of course, it is about sexual abuse. So I want to, warn the folks at home about that. But, we do have amendments there for the Ring Boy lawsuit, which, is obviously continuing, and it's going to continue to affect things. And this is just worse news for those involved because, Scotty, I think in a good way, and I think, Scotty, you can agree with me here, in a good way about this whole thing, is that a lawsuit like that, like the Ring Boy lawsuit coming up, had allowed 3 more former Ring Boys to come forward and tell their story. That idea of saying your story out loud could empower and inspire other people to tell their stories, to have more cases of corruption, sexual abuse, whatever else the WWE is getting sued for. It sucks that more stories like that exist, but it is good that those stories come and see the light of day. So, so that is, I guess, the silver lining of this.
Right. It's twofold, right? It's like on one hand, it's like obviously devastating that there's more people that were affected by this, but on the other hand, it is good to see people able to speak up and share their story, because obviously they've lived with this for years, and we don't know what they've gone through. We don't know what they've experienced. So you just kind of you hope for them that whatever happens is good for them, because there's a reason they haven't said anything. It's not because they don't want justice or so on and so forth. It's just it's a difficult thing. So obviously we will wait and see where this continues to go. But yeah, there's a lot of good to sharing your story. But at the same time, I would never expect someone to share something like that, because I'm sure it's taken so many different tolls on one person,
exactly.
2 people, so on.
Exactly. And obviously this has more far-reaching U.S. government stuff, obviously, with the inclusion of Linda McMahon as part of that current Department of Education. What's the seat name? What's her thing? Commissioner? No, that's not right. I forget. Doesn't matter. I also saw that just right before we went on that Brandon Thurston was talking about how WWE shareholders are currently suing WWE as well.
Nice.
Those are that happens every once in a while where shareholders will be upset about something and then sue, and it doesn't really go anywhere. Kind of. The only thing that's interesting to me here is that, as Brandon Thurston says, WWE shareholders suing WWE. They allege the process that resulted in the TKO merger wasn't an honest search for the most favorable buyer. The lawsuit is now in the discovery phase, where parties turn over certain evidence. Vince McMahon seems to be resisting to some extent in terms of pulling over some sort of evidence for the discovery phase. That could be something, could be nothing. Just an interesting thing to note in regards to TKO, the merger, and Vince McMahon. So again, we'll see how that goes. Let's talk about Backlash. Backlash pay-per-view happening this Saturday. Get locked in this Saturday, May 10th, in the St. Louis, Missouri Enterprise Center Arena, or I guess just the Enterprise Center.
So I'm just gonna say this now. My interest in a lot of wrestling is not there, right?
You have been super, I'll say, distracted, I guess. By the
last weeks. My favorite things in wrestling are kind of the busy thing for me right now. So my interest in anything else is at its lowest point. And looking at this card, boy, oh boy, do I feel vindicated or whatever.
Card
this
stinks. I think we got to stamp the classic stinky poo-poo card here, because at 4 matches announced, obviously we'll see if they get
one that hasn't been announced is going to be the worst one.
What's the one that hasn't been announced?
Pretty sure it's Jey Uso and Logan Paul. That's awful.
Oh my God.
At least that's what I thought.
I mean, maybe. I guess we'll find out.
God, that'd be an all-time bad card.
Yeah, so this card, I'm just going to say the full thing. We're not going to go match by match here. Full card here. U.S. title, 4-way, Drew McIntyre, Damian Priest, LA Knight, Jacob Fatu. I don't know. That could surprisingly be interesting.
Drew
Singles
McIntyre.
Match, special singles match, Gunther versus Pat McAfee.
Of course.
All right. WWE Women's
Pat won.
I look, Scotty.
You kind of want it to happen.
These either needs to be a squash where Gunther, where Pat McAfee takes a blade and gets and bleeds all over the place, which will not happen. Or Pat McAfee's gonna win, and I'm gonna be screaming and yelling about it. WWE Women's Intercontinental title. Becky Lynch turns on Lyra Valkyrie, immediately turns heel, and now challenging for this title. Becky Lynch 100% going to win, and the undisputed WWE Championship, John Cena versus Randy Orton. St. Louis's own Randy Orton.
It's the only match I'm interested in. And I know it's probably not going to be that good. But it's in St. Louis, you know? So, like...
Can you picture how slow that match is going to be?
Buddy, they might do the Mystico Classic. Like, they're in St. Louis. Randy's hometown. And Randy's already in his, like... I'm just going to play to the crowd phase. Oh my God. And honestly, that's fine. Like this match is not a match to be great. It's a match to, you look at it, you look at them face to face. That's the point, right? It's for the pictures. It's to have it because it's one last time. And that's it. Like this match is WWE.
Yeah.
In every way.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, well, yeah. John Cena versus Randy Orton.
Oh, yeah, like baby. That. It always has been. It's never been very good, except for like one or two. But, and I don't expect it to be very good this time.
Ironically enough, like on the timeline for things for Hustle Loyalty Retrospect, the John Cena series,
you've reached this point.
I've reached the point of their SummerSlam, like the beginning of the beginning of the John Cena Randy Orton feud.
I vividly remember that match.
Yeah.
I will say this: I guess the most fascinating part is that Randy's the baby face and Cena's the heel.
Yeah, that's
never
fair.
happened before, you know, so that's unique. But it's like the only match on this card that I'm like, well, I'm gonna watch that.
Yep.
Everything else, like, I don't want to. I don't.
But it's also 4 matches, and it's like, well, I can watch all of this in 30 minutes, you know?
Yeah, like if I wish these shows were on Sunday, so we had to wait a week to watch them or something. Actually, it works next week. It works next week because we're recording on Monday, so I could literally just not watch it live and watch them all. Boom, 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 done.
Yeah, exactly. You remember the Noah 2020 match? I want to say it was between Go Shiozaki and Kazuyuki Fujita. Do you remember that one where they're just standing in the ring staring at each other for 20-30 minutes?
Yeah.
That's how I imagine John Cena versus Randy Orton's going to start.
They should do that.
Just 5 minutes at least of staring at each other.
People, that would be crazy. They're definitely going to stand there for a good, like, few minutes.
I will also say, you know, going back to the Gunther Pat McAfee thing, you know, as much as I'll say that, like, that match kind of stinks, Scotty, let's be honest. You know what this tells me? Pat McAfee is probably not on commentary for the show.
Oh, that's true.
That's a bonus.
That's true.
That's a bonus for me. I mean, come on. Pat McAfee is the drizzling shits at commentary.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Because
most commentary, you know.
Because the 5-minute stare down of John Cena versus Randy Orton, the entire time
would be ruined by him.
Well, the entire time in my head, I'm hearing the millions at home watching and all these things. Get out of your seat. You know, Pat McAfee trying to do his dumb hype bit.
McAfeeisms.
His McAfeeisms, like he's probably not going to be on the call. If anything, I hope he's in a bloody pulp that he can't do the call.
That's crazy.
So, you know, I think that's a positive. I think if we're going to walk away, there's a positive here.
Could that be the best match on the show?
It depends how, like, what kind of match it is. I think there's a chance.
Sure.
I think it's
That's crazy.
I don't know. I think Becky Lynch is going to try extremely hard against.
Lyra and Becky should have a fine match. I mean, the 4-way could just be fun.
I also agree. I think that could be very fun. That's a kind of
fun.
You know, that's the 4-way that, like, again, it has to be the Ryan Knightsey special. Like, that 4-way needs to be 10 minutes of a car crash. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These are big boys, I guess, other than LA Knight, just going out there, crushing each other, and just, you know, high spots galore.
For like a nice 12-minute stamp. 12 minutes, 33 seconds. If that happens, I want to check. I don't know what to check, but I want to check.
Yeah. So
this show stinks.
Yeah, this show's not that great.
What is? You know what I learned this week?
What's that?
This is gonna get good. Double or Nothing didn't happen yet. I saw a graphic for Double or Nothing. I said, didn't I already watch that?
Didn't I watch that?
And I was like, and then I went and looked. I was like, oh, that was Dynasty. Right.
Double or Nothing is 3 weeks away, Scotty.
Yeah, like I forgot Dynasty was a thing, and obviously I've not been following AEW or any of these companies much. So like when I saw the graphic for the Hangman Ospreay match, I was like, Double or Nothing. Why does it happen at Double or Nothing?
We practically have an entire,
because no one's saying. But here's the thing: no one's saying Double or Nothing, right? Everyone's talking about All In. So my brain is not thinking of this pay-per-view whatsoever.
I get you.
Yeah, and like I see the Samoa Joe match being on Beach Break. So again, Double or Nothing is not in my head, which is fascinating, by the way, that that's happening. What are they doing there for the world title?
It's 3 weeks, so I imagine we'll find out something.
3 week difference. When's Beach Break?
I think it's the 14th, May 14th, which is in not this Wednesday, but the following Wednesday.
2 total weeks to build that up.
Well, it's that, and then you have like a week and a half till Double or Nothing, I guess. You'll have
interesting
3 more shows of television.
Tells you how locked in I am.
Yes,
the Double or Nothing thing I thought would pop you because like I saw the graphic and I don't really like the match graphics this year for it. That's not really an important factor at all. That's just a me thing.
Sure.
But I got excited for the match itself, and then I was like, oh, right, Double or Nothing. Their once upon a time biggest show.
Yeah, well, all In is now superseded that for obvious reason. But yeah, that's very funny. It's extremely funny. We have like basically an entire Best of Super Juniors tour before Double or Nothing. We have like technically 2 WWE big time shows, Backlash and Saturday Night's Main Event before Double or Nothing. There's even a TNA show before Double or Nothing.
Oh, maybe Logan Paul and Jey Uso will be on that then.
That is like also 3 weeks away, so maybe
because they planned it like I saw the clip, like they started doing it.
Yeah,
I didn't see the full clip. I didn't give a shit, but I learned that it was happening, and they didn't announce it. So maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe they're saving that for Saturday Night's Main Event because nothing says a main event like that match.
Like Mr. Main Event, whatever his name, Main Event Jey Uso.
That match, I don't even think I'm going to watch that. Like that sounds pitiful.
It doesn't sound fun.
Like at least with like these 4 matches that we just talked about, it's like, yeah, I can see that being fine. Even with like Pat McAfee, I could say that.
Depending
but like
on
Logan Paul and Jey Uso,
yes,
that's the drizzling poop.
Nice censor. Nice censor.
You're welcome.
Yeah, match.
I never swear on this show.
That match is not necessarily exciting. The thing about Backlash is that the card kind of stinks, but there is like potential for at least good, right? Like I think Becky Lynch is going to try really extremely hard. That Gunther Pat McAfee, it could be a squash and that would rule. The 4-way, if it's like a 12-minute car wreck, that could be fun. The John Cena Randy Orton thing, I think is going to be boring, probably. But
yeah, it's going to be boring, but that's for the vibe, right? Like that's
it's the 2.
It's one of those things where it's like it's the last time, so that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Logan Paul and Jey Uso, holy bad.
That's gonna like weirdly stick out like a sore thumb if that's.
They should do like they should just do like EO versus or like do one of the tags with all the women. Do EO and Rhea versus Roxanne and Julia on this show.
That's not a
that
bad
would
idea.
Be good.
That
would be
really
better than
idea.
everything on this bullshit show, and you don't have to defend the title.
Yeah, that's a really
I'm
good
sold.
idea.
You're welcome, WWE. I booked you a better match, and then you can have the rematch between EO and Rhea or something on Saturday Night's Main Event as your main event because no one wants to see Jey Uso versus Logan Paul.
I think that's all correct.
It would be very fitting though if they put an EO big match with commercials. They love to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Bastards. Mm-hmm. Anyways, book your card. Bye WWE. I don't want to talk about you anymore.
Mayu Iwatani has officially left Stardom and has officially joined.
Oh, she did?
Yes. As of last week, we talked about how she left Stardom, and well, now a week later, she has not only joined Marigold, but she has also already wrestled in Marigold. Wrestled Nai Takahashi this morning, in fact. So yeah, Mayu Iwatani, I guess tiny victory lap for us in the sense of, yeah, we kind of already believed that this was going to happen. You know, there was the thoughts of she's going to AEW, she's going to WWE. No, she went to Marigold.
It was all funny,
as we all expected. And yeah, she's in Marigold, announced as part of the roster. I assume based on her press conference that she's going to help out with the training in some way, just because she really had a lot of thoughts about the number of botches in Marigold, which I thought was
first of all, no wrestler uses the word botch. So that translation was not correct.
Yeah.
Anyways, but she did highlight that because that is her purpose. So yes.
Did she formally say that she was going to become a trainer, or was it just sort of that?
She didn't formally say it, but get the idea. And the Nye's leaving. She's in. Figure it out. You know, like this is happening. She is going. It's full hands on. She calls herself the savior, the face. She just didn't say ace. Like that's the only word she never uses. She calls herself everything else that describes the ace of a promotion, but she'll never say ace because she's the icon. And her new nickname is the Joshi Puro Resu icon. So not just Stardom, Marigold, no, all of it, which good for her. She deserves that. But yeah, very I've talked about this press conference so many times, like written in my brain what she said. But a very open press conference, which I thought was nice, right?
Also not unexpected with Mayu Iwatani.
No, not unexpected at all. Like for because Japanese wrestling is very protected, and secretive, and like it's why like people always, especially in like Joshi, it's why people always pop for like when Sari says something, because she's very direct and she doesn't really hide what she's doing. Which we'll talk about here in a second. She's already set up her next like 2 years of plans, which is what she does. But yeah, with Mayu, she's very open. She's like, listen, I'm here to save the day. She even went as far as like, I know Stardom's the best promotion. That we're not there. We know that. But I'm going to be here to try to get us there. And I think that's like the most important part of all this. That is why she is here. And again, it is, some people will question decisions like, why did she not go here? Why did she not go there if she's going to leave? For her, it's about the future. For her, it's about building Japan and Japanese wrestling and Joshi wrestling. And it always has been. This is a conversation that you and me kind of had recently on, it was the ballot, folks. You can figure that out. Like we talked about that with someone else.
I think I already said it.
Oh, you probably did.
Let's just say it. We recorded the ballot about Io.
Yeah, we talked about Io, and naturally Mayu comes up, and they're both so different, but they are both trying to move Joshi wrestling forward in very different ways. And it's why they're connected in one on. And she's doing it from inside the company and now doing it from the number 2, number 3, whatever. I don't feel like getting yelled at, but you call whatever. But they're not number 1. And that's okay. Like, that is okay. They're not supposed to be number 1. The number 1's backed by Bushiroad. Like, this is not.
They don't have the infrastructure. It's the same thing, when Marigold was created, we talked about it as like the sort of comparison with WWE AEW of like, this is now a company that is not funded by any sort of major conglomerate.
Right, exactly.
It is fully funded by Rossi Ogawa and I guess Wrestling Universe to a certain degree, right?
I'll always look at it like this. Marigold was made for 2 reasons: to help build the future of Joshi wrestling, which was said from the start. That's why most of their new wrestlers outside of Mayu are trainees. Like they're not, they're not signing a ton of wrestlers or anything. They're not bringing in freelancers to full-time contracts or anything. And to essentially kind of be the home for, the likes of Mayu and a Nanai and Jungle Kiona, who obviously returned last weekend as well. It's like, it's to be that for these people as well, if it wants to be. But building the future is a good thing. It's an exciting thing. It's why this is so exciting. It's why, I got told today by someone, like, you can take all the victory laps you want because you were right. Like, she proved it in one match. I was right. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. I don't take victory laps.
The sad reality, though, of course, of Marigold is that like it's a company that like needs to survive for like 5 years or so.
Sure. Sure.
It's the same thing that we talk about, like AEW. It's a company that like it needs to exist for a good
Yeah.
amount of time for it to
Right.
start
And
building upon itself.
absolutely. And it now has the person to lead that charge
Yeah.
fully.
Yeah.
Julia and Sari were band-aids to
Oh
get
yeah.
here, right?
Especially
Like,
3, I feel like.
yeah, Sari was a maybe an unexpected one, but one that was very important. And now it's very exciting. They had in her first interview or first press conference, whatever, she talked about, I'm gonna go for the Grand Slam, like plain and simple. I'm gonna set my own records too. Like this isn't just me helping, I'm doing my thing.
I'm not
And now,
coasting. This isn't a
right,
retirement tour.
right. I'm gonna go for the GHC. I want to be the first to have the IWGP and GHC. You know, she's like, I'm gonna do all these different things as well. And I think that's also very exciting, obviously, for her. And you're gonna watch naturally. And I just posted a video about this after her match because that's what I do. I'm a psycho. You're watching the bar get raised in real time for everyone. You're watching throughout these cards. Is everyone going to be perfect? No. Is everyone going to be great? No. But they're going to put in the effort to try, because if you have someone leading by example like her, you have no other choice, especially if she's also going to help with training and everything. It's just going to naturally happen. And I think that's the most exciting thing for Marigold, for Joshi. I know a lot of Stardom fans, and this is my least favorite part of this whole week, is they're attacking her for making a decision that was best for her life and something she wanted to do. Support talent, not promotions. I can't stress that enough. I will always say that.
It's also like what sucks about that is that like this is like the first time since the whole Rossy Ogawa's gets fired from Stardom and all these sort of things that like these two companies are now like I feel like fully disconnected, right?
Yeah,
Like
they're done.
Like I don't think like there's any other real talent of Stardom that's like, I mean, I guess to a certain degree like Starlight Kid has the connection to Maya, so you're like, oh, maybe that could be
I
a pop-up.
guess.
But like
Yeah.
there's no one really at this
Right.
point where it's like, oh yeah, we're just gonna wait a year until they pop up in Marigold.
I said this to everyone. I feel like last year, like this connection, this thought process between the two doesn't end until literally this happened.
Yeah.
Now it's happened. Now you don't have to like look at each other, like just move forward and for the betterment of Joshi rather than
the Marigold side of things. Like we talked about at the All-Star Grand Kingdom review that like this feels like a new era for Stardom.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I mean Tam leaving alone was enough for that. Both of them.
There's like back-to-back, moments
right.
of Joshi history of
right.
like this is a significant moment.
I mean, the funny thing was seeing like Stardom fans, like, because like some people would just react to like Mayu leaving, and if you're not in it, you're like, oh my god, Mayu leaving and jumping to the other company, that's got to be like this gigantic shift. And it's like, no, that's not what this, like, it's a gigantic shift for Marigold, not for just this, like, it's not taking away from Stardom. And you'd see some people say like, oh, this changes, and the Stardom fans get defensive and yada yada yada. It's like, you gotta fully understand what's going on. This is great news for the scene. This is great news for Marigold. Stardom's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
They're not good. Like,
well, yeah.
They have the back.
I am more worried for Stardom about Tam leaving than Mayu leaving. You know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah,
we'll
it's
see
fascinating.
How that goes.
Like, well, the thing is with Tam leaving, you'll also no longer have the person you fall back on, in situations when people have left years and years and years, right?
Yeah.
So that is the fascinating part there. But I think that I know they'll be fine. They have an incredible young core. That's the beauty of both these companies. One's just specifically young. Like Marigold's a very young roster outside of Nanai, who's retiring.
Yeah.
And Stardom, I mean, we've been talking about Azumi, Starlight Kid, Suzuki, all these different people for years now. Like, this is the time. Right. Saya Kamatani, Hanan, this is the time.
Yep.
It's now the time for all these people to step up. So everyone's fine. The
Saya
Joshi
Ida, of course.
Yeah, Saya Ida should get a title match. But like, in all seriousness, it's good time. It's exciting time.
Yeah. I think this, if anything, this upcoming year will be a development year almost for both companies to a certain degree. Yeah. Like, I think like at Stardom, I think it's fair to say that their business probably will decline slightly through, for the rest of the year. I think that's a fair
doing record business. So like the only way is likely down.
Yeah. So
Not a lot.
I don't think it will a lot, but it will probably decline slightly. And then with Marigold, it is just like developing the talent basically for the next year and exposing it to more of an audience.
They're debuting a new super rookie, so
got super rookies at the Wazoo at Marigold.
Well, this one's a daughter of a wrestler that used to be in one of Rossi's promotions, so that's cool.
It is very cool.
She's only 16.
Is she going to tag up with the other daughter of another wrestler from another promotion?
Probably Kazuna, which is also Kazuna also of daughter of two wrestlers. So obviously, I mean, if this became like the company where all of the daughters end up working, I think that's funny and kind of neat for all of them.
Yeah,
probably for the older, obviously the parents, like, oh, this is cool. We get to see our kids. But she's debuting next. They called her Super Rookie. She's 16 years old. So that's unique. She debuted. I'm pretty sure she won't wrestle the full year because she has school. So
that's hilarious.
It's much like Hina and Rena that we've seen the past couple of years, where like everyone wanted Rena to get pushed, and then she's like, she can't be here every show.
Go to school.
Now she did say like a year or two ago, like, I don't give a shit about school. So she was around a lot more than Hina, who did give a shit. But like that's Joshi at the end of the day. It's just what it is. But yeah, I try to make people understand the scene, especially if you're not in it.
Yeah.
Or as much as I mean, most people should not be in it as much as I am, just because it took up my entire week. That being said,
Ring Post Radio almost serves as a backdoor explanation of the Joshi scene too.
Yeah, it does. It's trying to make people understand. So yeah, it's a good time. I mean, it's a good time to get into both. I will say, I did watch a Stardom show post All-Star Grand Queendom. It's weird. There is a massive gap for me, obviously, as the Mayu fan, but there's also just like no Tam, and that's weird. And also a bunch of people are injured, which is a bigger problem overall, but that's not the topic point today.
I think the last only bit about Mayu Iwatani, just to serve, what Ring Post Radio is that she did make mention at the end of her press conference, just saying that, I guess to a certain degree, the door is open for her to be in the U.S. a little bit more. She would be open to something like that.
Her quote was great for that.
What was her quote?
She was like, I love my dogs. I love my cats. I love Japan. I like doing puzzles.
Same.
Like, I love Japan so much. Maybe I'll go overseas someday. Like, and then, which was the bigger reveal, is I'm here so I can wrestle the likes of EO. And which was to me like, I'm here so I don't have to go anywhere to wrestle EO.
Yes.
She added Kyrie and Julia in there as well, but she pretty much then was like, EO's like my big sister.
Yeah,
I'd love to face her again someday. And that was that.
I guess notable there is that she's mentioning WWE talent. Yeah. Obviously, she has more of a stronger connection with those three women, but she's mentioning WWE talent and not AEW talent, which is
I wonder why.
Notable, I guess.
Wonder why. To me, it's like, again, the way I heard her quote and then read her quote, it was like, I'm gonna toss Kyrie and Julia in here because I'm trying to be nice. Just because like I know she don't give a shit about those matches. Like, she's had both of those recently. The EO one, that is literally someone that if one goes to Japan, they see each other. If one goes to America, they see each other. Like, that is an actual bond. So the moment we get that is the moment we win.
I was like, let's just hang that in the air for a second. Let's move on and talk about Noah Memorial Voyage, staying in the wrestling universe, as I said, and talk about a show for Noah. This was a big time show for them. Obviously headlined by the GC heavyweight title match between Ozawa and Kenta. This was, of course, in Ryogoku Hall, 4,521 in attendance for this one. I think I was listening to a podcast. I want to say the Emerald Flow show. And I think they were talking about how Noah this year hasn't done really anything and Korakuen Hall like below 1,000 or something like that.
Yeah, they're having a hell of a run.
Yeah, they are having a really good run this year. That's fantastic, obviously, for them. And just, I guess we'll see how it goes. I don't know how much of the show you watch, Scotty, but I guess we'll start off with the main event and we can go throughout from there, because the main event is obviously, I think, very interesting. I thought this match was really great. I really did enjoy this main event, but the maybe shocking end result is Ozawa picks up the win. Kenta loses. Ozawa retains his GHC heavyweight title. I think that's just like, I thought this match was really, really good, but that is such a bold booking decision, weirdly enough for me, where it's like, okay, damn, they're going with Ozawa. I don't blame them. I think it's still a good, we talked about in our preview that like, it's a win no matter what, but like, it still feels weird that like, yeah, we're going with Ozawa.
Yeah, I can tell you why, and they're up 1,000 at Sumo Hall this year from last year. So that's why it's him, man. Like, he is the draw, plain simple.
The crowd constantly booed
they're
Kenta for this.
They're essentially up 2,000 from 2 years ago at this venue, for example.
Yeah, last year was 3,500 for Wrestle Magic. I'm gonna say it was 2,500 in 2023. Is what you're saying?
2,700. So
basically, yeah.
So like, yeah, it's, well, I did think they'd put it on Kenta when it was over. I was like, I don't blame them. I mean, they're doing their best business in years, and it's because of this guy.
500 more than Dream Queendom in December.
Right.
Do more comparisons.
Right, and that was for a hot Stardom, or a heated up Stardom. Maybe not hot; they got hot after. But like, it's insane where they're at. But I mean, they're doing like 1,500 to they're doing pretty much 1,500 at like every Korakuen right now. They did 1,300 one time, the last one, so they haven't been below 1,300, let alone 1,000 this year at Korakuen Hall. And it's because of Ozawa. And here's the thing that I do have to say. I have like legitimately no interest in this company, but it's hot. So I am going to respect their decisions. Like, that's the thing that I think people fail to, and when I see people, I mean just overall, like when you look at wrestling, it's like, it may not be for me, but I can respect that it is working.
It does feel like to me, I have, I think, more of an interest in Noah than you do, but I do also feel like I'm lacking in some regard. I think it's some of the down card stuff that I'm not too interested in. Because I do like Ozawa. I am enjoying Ozawa, to be fair.
That's essentially like the only thing you have to do to like enjoy this company. If you don't like Ozawa, you're not gonna like the company.
Yeah, and I guess Kenta as well to a certain degree.
I guess, but like him not winning tells me enough,
But at the same time, it also feels like a company that, like, despite maybe are like, I think any other year, Scotty, you and I would be like probably not necessarily covering Noah too much. But the fact that this company is financially, business-wise, hot and rising, there isn't a part of me that's like, well, we got to keep watching Noah because something is happening here.
Right.
In terms of like, in the landscape of like what's happening in Japan right now, it's like Noah and Stardom are two promotions.
It's the same system
that are growing significantly this year, and it's like
they're doing the same thing.
And obviously,
you have heel champion.
Basically,
they're both slightly different because they're both different people.
Yeah,
but it's the same thing. Like, they're the most popular wrestlers in their company as the leading heel figure.
Yeah, these are things to watch. You have to watch Noah. No matter what, you have to watch Stardom. No matter what, right? It's like this thing of like they are doing something is happening in Japan.
They like the heels and they don't like the baby faces. Well, it's different in Stardom. They do like the baby faces. Like, they're not openly booing them. Kaito Kiyomiya is openly getting booed over
which
Ozawa.
Was fascinating. Obviously, post-match coverage here is Ozawa defeats Kenta. Post-match, Kaito Kiyomiya comes out to challenge Ozawa. And Kenta Kiyomiya, as like you said, gets booed the entire way. It even calls for it, like even leans into it. It's like, I know you want to boo me, but and then the crowd starts booing.
Yeah. Like that. This is just the world they live in. I don't think it's a bad thing. I like when Kenta's getting booed. It's not his fault. It's just what Ozawa is. That's the ultimate sign, right? Like,
and the sad part is also about the undercard.
Kaito isn't Shota Umino.
Yeah,
you know, like it's not the same thing to me.
The sad part is that the undercard almost starts lacking because of how over Ozawa is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're here for one thing.
Yeah.
Because the rest of Team 2000X stinks. I hate it. Like anytime they're in anything, I'm like, oh.
I will say I did watch the Jun Akiyama tag match. Of course, you know I love Akiyama, so
I did watch that. I don't like Endo, so that's my problem.
But Yu Iwata-san here.
Yeah, he's good. I like him.
There's something there. I saw that guy. And I was like, holy shit, there's something. Him going up to June every single time. I was like, all right, here we go.
The two young guns in Team 2000X are the exciting ones, right? Those two. Everything else, it's like, you know,
I feel the same way.
But yeah, I mean, that's the thing with Noah, and that's the thing with Stardom. That's the conversation, or not, maybe not the conversation, but the thing to notice is that heels are the most popular figures and they're drawing. Again, now I have to wait and see with Sai. I understand that because Tam's no longer part of it, but
to see how much of it is Saya. You know?
She's been the main event for a lot of these big time, all of them, I should say. So she gets credit no matter what.
Of course.
Will just be fascinating to see what she does now without Tam. But for Ozawa, it's him, and it might only be him because the rest of Noah is not exciting me.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I'm not really big a fan of him either, but I'm going to watch because he's doing something that makes you watch.
Yeah, he's captivating. He has charisma for days.
He's something, man. He is definitely something. I don't. My problem with him is they keep making his matches go way too long.
Agreed.
He's not capable of the 26-minute match.
Well, you know, it's the match that like in this one they're I think it's like totally fine for what it is.
This match was 2 halves.
But then then they have all the like Team 2000X guys run in, Kano, Ulka Sasaki run in, you know, it's a lot of that stuff too in here that is just like
it's really weird. Really weird that this guy is so over.
It's the thing of like they have a super over guy who was a really solid wrestler, but like not a main event caliber wrestler yet, if that makes sense.
Right.
He can't. They have to.
Charisma's carrying him.
Yeah. So to a certain degree, they have to pad his match a little bit to add time to it, which it's such a like.
I'd rather just cut the time.
Yeah, like I would rather just cut the time to a certain degree. Like, why does it have to be 26? Just make it 20, you know? And I don't know. It's to a certain degree I get it. To another degree I don't. So it is what it is. At the same time, though, with Ozawa, especially with Kaito Kiyomiya coming up, I don't know about you, Scotty, but I'm watching that final bit and I'm just thinking to myself, you know, now would be, I think, a perfect time for Noah to fully lean into a WWE Hall of Fame match and do a double turn on Kaito and Ozawa. I mean, Ozawa, it starts becoming that, like, I think he is the heel, which is obviously part of the charm, but like along with the Team 2000X stuff, is like kind of holding him back now to a certain degree. And I think like it might be more interesting for him to face those guys at this point. I don't know. But like now Kaito, you know, I think also Kaito needs something different, and him becoming a heel would be interesting.
For me, it would be letting Kaito have the edge more so.
Yeah.
Because like you're leaving Ozawa as he is.
Yes.
You just have to, right?
He's basically the same character, just like
He's just like he's
Deadpool. He's Deadpool. We can all agree.
Kaito is embracing the booze.
Yeah.
Right. And maybe it's a little more stiff. Maybe it's a little, you know, like these different things for him to change, but you don't have to change Ozawa because it would just work because he's already getting cheered, you know, it's like that natural thing. So we'll see. What's their match?
I
think they said 16th.
I want to say the 16th. I open up Cage match. That's not going to tell me at all. Let's see. I'm pulling up the Noah schedule.
Yeah, the 18th.
Yeah, Star Navigation, Sunday the 18th, Korakuen Hall. It will be Kaito Kiyomiya versus Ozawa. That's a very interesting one. There's also other matches on here. I think the only one announced so far is Yohei versus Tadasuke, which we can talk about the junior match a little bit later. But yeah, I mean, that's to me, that's a match to watch. Like, that is a very fascinating match for me right now. Because, like, I don't know. I think you could do a double turn if you wanted to, if you're Noah. I don't think it's a bad idea. Because also, if like the Team 2000X thing isn't really working, just turn Kaito Kiyomiya and throw him in as the new leader of 2000X or whatever. Yeah. I don't know. He can paint his face the other side, so it's like, oh, it's a shout out to fucking Yoshi. What's his fucking name? Yoshitatsu, but also Muto.
I guess like for me, the reason they're not or may not is because they might just think it all works when ultimately it's just Ozawa. Yeah. Maybe that's why. I just learned Monday Magic starts at the end of the month, so Noah might be back.
Yeah, that's I
love Monday Magic. Monday Magic is so silly and funny, but like I get a free extra like Marigold match from that now. So
I was gonna say now with Mayu and Marigold, you're gonna get Marigold. You're gonna get a lot of
that'd be crazy.
Mayu Gold. You're gonna get a lot of Mayu and Noah moving forward, presumably.
Yeah,
especially if she wants to go for the GHC title.
Yeah, she wants them all. So baby steps, one at a time. But yeah, that's fun. I like Monday Magic, and I'm sure Ozawa will never be on it. But if he is, because it's a Shinjuku face, why use him on the smaller venue when they don't know? But it's cool. I mean, I'm sure that Korakuen will sell out too. So
I agree. Any other broad strokes thoughts on any of other matches here that you watched? We talked about the Jun Akiyama tag match.
It was like pulling teeth watching this show. At one point, I was like, I did not like the tag title match.
It was fine.
The normal one. I did like the junior one. I thought that was fun because
the Alpha Wolf Dragonbane return.
Yeah, Alpha Wolf and Dragonbane. Never leave really me good. Again. Never really leave me again. Stay around. Don't leave. Junji Miyawaki also has confidence again, which is nice to see.
Yep.
Amox is good. Yeah, it was fun. It was the right way. They started the card off so well, though. That's like I don't need to watch the rest of the show. Like this is good.
That Alpha Wolf dive in that match where he does a ooh and then dives into Amakusa
and takes out everything.
But Amakusa just breaks him through a table that they had to replace it for the rest of the show. Anytime you look back, it's just an awkward middle table that doesn't have any of the gold lining with it. So fucking funny, but so great. It looked cool. Yeah, that worked. Galeno versus Saxon Huxley was 5 minutes of all right. This was fine.
Good thing it was 5 minutes.
I will shout out Yohei versus Aida. The match was
that was pretty decent.
The match was pretty decent, and then the finish was Yohei doing like a 720 tornillo splash, basically. The clip is out there. I know I saw Joe Gagney post it. Let me see if I can find it real quick and I'll send it to you. But it is literally I might be able to share it. Let's see, Joe Cagney. It looks really cool. It's because what works so well with it is that it is incredibly clean. Here, let's present. I'm gonna pull it on the screen here for our video listeners. Share screen, this one, and then share, and then boom, and then bypass the system. Sure, allow that. I don't know what that meant, but that's fine. And there we go. You see that 720?
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Blow that up a little bit. Yeah, really, it's like incredibly clean job from Yohei. This is also his first junior heavyweight title singles win, which is kind of unbelievable with Yohei. But yeah, really good stuff. Match definitely was pretty good. But yeah, the rest of the show, like you said, the heavyweight tag was like whatever. I did kind of like the Jun Akiyama match because Yu Iwatani impressed me. And Kaito Kiyomiya, Naomi Chimera Fuji. Did you watch that one? I thought that was Okay, pretty fine.
I saw the runtime and I said, no chance I'm watching Marufuji wrestle that long.
It had its moments. It was a match that certainly had its moments, but also had its
every comment I saw about it was like, this thing is ridiculous. This is too long. And it's like, all right, I'm good.
That was
pretty
much accurate with how I feel about that. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think we both agree that like Noah is a company to obviously watch to a certain degree. A lot of it has to do with Ozawa. The down card stuff is not quite there, but maybe
never has been.
Maybe through the year it'll expand a little bit more. I don't know, but now that Alpha Wolf and Dragonbane are back, that gives me more talent to be excited for in Noah.
Let me just say this. I look at the poster they have for shows, right? Mm-hmm. Most of the wrestlers do nothing for me. Yeah. And that's the ultimate sign. Like, I don't even like Ozawa that much, but he's over. So I will keep watching to understand. That's kind of what I'm doing.
Yeah. He's connecting. So it's like, what is the connection? How is he
what am I missing? And it's like, oh, maybe I just I don't like his matches enough to fully connect, I guess.
That's fair.
They're also long.
Maybe you have to watch some Ozawa and Progress matches just to see where that starts.
Don't ever say that again.
Because that's also him as a babyface, I believe, as well.
Yeah, I'm sure that won't help me, but I appreciate that. Watching Progress is never an answer.
Well, let's talk about New Japan. New Japan, obviously, Wrestling Dontaku night 1 and night 2 this weekend. 2,903 in the first night and 5,400 in night 2. That's legitimately crazy. Wow, legitimately crazy. That is holy shit, Goto. Oh my god,
that's the big man.
The big man Goto.
Hold on, what was it? Holy shit, damn near. That's crazy.
5,400 night 2. I'm pulling up Wrestling Dontaku night 1 and night 2 of last year.
This guy almost doubled it for his title match.
Night 1 was main event Nick Nemeth versus Hiroshi Tanahashi. Remember that one? That was 2,400. Night 1 here, 2025.
You say Nick Nemeth versus her? Oh, I do remember that. Oof.
Yes. 2025, it bumped up to 2,900. It's only 500 more. Last year, night 2 of Dontaku was main evented by Moxley versus Ren Narita for the IWGP World Heavyweight title. If you can remember that. That was 4,200 in attendance. Night 2 in 2025, 5,400 in attendance. Again, Goto, baby.
And that's the funny thing between Noah and New Japan. It's two very different things are working for both of them.
Yeah.
Like very different. And that's a good thing. You shouldn't want to do the same thing. All Japan just sucks. So.
The dream card of Ozawa versus Goto in some sort of scenario of like the old versus new, and they're both on top and both over.
The old way versus the new way.
There is such a cool element where it's like, holy shit, that it actually would work so well. Well, night 1, I think had a lot of fun stuff on here. The big title matches here, of course, was thankfully the Jado tag match got turned into just a straight up World TV title match. El Phantasmo versus Konosuke Takeshita. That went to a time limit draw for 15 minutes because that was sort of used as a way to set up the Resurgence show where it's Takeshita versus Phantasmo for the Never title.
Don't you love when we're using things to set up a New Japan Strong match?
Well, Scotty, I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, it was either this or a
I understand what it was. I understand what it was.
So I'm taking this. And the match was, it was fine. It was a nice little preview. Zack Sabre Jr. defeats Hiroshi Tanahashi. Shingo Takagi defeats.
That was good. That match,
the Tanahashi one.
I thought the 4 matches I watched were all good.
Me too. Me as well.
Least. So that was nice.
I thought, Zack Sabre Jr. Tanahashi was really good. Shingo versus Shota Umino, I also thought that was really fun. Shingo just being the ever-loving shit out of Shota Umino.
That's the Shingo that's at his best was this one.
Mm-hmm. Hitting I believe, the last of the dragon at the end, causing Shota Umino's nose to bleed profusely. That was fun.
Umino. I agree. Shota Umino sucks. This match was nice. This was a nice watch. Very physical, very hard hitting. Probably what they wanted most of the matches with Shota Umino in this new persona to be, and they weren't.
A good level, like this is what more of what I want Shota Umino to
Losing?
be at. Yeah, well, sure. But like, and it is a semi-main event, so there's also that in terms of push.
It was best match in a long while.
Yes, and I think a lot of it has to do with he's away from the main event, kind of. You know, they downcycle him slightly to the semi-main event, but putting him in this sort of like big boy feud with Shingo Takagi, like, does make me fear that he will eventually defeat Takeshita, but
Yeah.
which I think is 100% plausible. But you know, just this idea of like he needs to do kind of more stuff like this, where it's just kind of like there's smaller feuds, not for world titles.
Yeah,
Where
his
just,
ceiling
like,
might
doing
be
his own
never
thing.
open weight.
Yeah, and I think that's a fine ceiling to be at for this guy. But
You know,
obviously,
this
they
really
want more.
random thing that I was thinking looking at him the other day,
What's that?
or when I watched this match, I was like, if he like had like the little shorts or whatever, he looked like a young, more like young but like main event version of Ishii. Like if he had the like pants that Ishii had on,
yes,
I don't know why. I was just like looking at them and like with the armband and all these things. It's like I see like a symbol, not in wrestling, the similarity as in like the look kind of. And I was like, yeah, I agree. Umino shouldn't win the world title, just like Ishii never did. I'm with that. Let's do that.
Ooh.
But I was like,
Honestly, a bold idea, but having Shota Umino be a Ishii type is fascinating.
Yeah, like let's piss people off, obviously, because they love Ishii and they hate Shota Umino. But yeah, absolutely. Like that might be his ceiling. Is like go there, go do the never open weight stuff. That's your thing.
I love Ishii, and I don't necessarily love Shota Umino in ring. However, if we push Shota Umino more in that direction, I think I would come more around on Shota Umino.
Yeah, I think you would too.
Yeah.
Specifically, go with exactly the same pants. He'll just look like a main event like action figure version of Ishii instead of Ishii, and I think that'd be funny. And I think it would also like probably work.
Yeah, he's cosplayed everybody else. Why not Ishii?
Yeah, why not Ishii? Why does no one ever cosplay Ishii look wise?
Saying he's ugly? What's that?
Are you saying he's ugly? Is that why no one ever wants to look like Ishii?
Do you think Gabe Kidd is doing that slightly with the black sort of trunks now?
Gabe Kidd's being a try hard. Like I don't know what you want from me.
Well, speaking of Gabe Kidd, let's talk about the main event. Of course, loser leaves Bullet Club Steel Cage 10-man tag team match.
This crowd's great.
Bullet Club War Dogs defeats the House of Torture. That means House of Torture are no longer Bullet Club. Obviously, they still exist as a faction, though. But what do you think of this match? I thought, not necessarily divisive online, but there are definitely some thoughts out there about this match.
I thought it was way better than the one last year.
I think that's crazy because I thought the last year one was better than this one.
I hated last year's. So.
I know. Yeah, that to be fair, you hated last year.
Hated last year's. That last year stunk. This one was normal, which helped. No war games bullshit. Ugh, I hate war games, dude. Like war games, like the rule set, which they were gonna do, and then they changed it.
Yeah.
Ren Narita bled for the love of the game. Shouts out to him.
Christ, Ren Narita.
Like that was crazy. I was like, man, he loves the house that much. That's crazy. Shouts out to him. I thought Evil and David Finlay kind of being their own thing was fun. I liked that. I like kind of having them be the focus together because of where they're going, it seems.
Yep.
Which is a fascinating match that I'm kind of excited for because of the way Evil handled himself. No, I just thought it was really good and fitting main event and had the violence you probably wanted.
Yep.
The fact that I saw Taiji Ishimori bleed was crazy. That was just like one of those things where I was like, interesting. Like I never thought he would do that.
He was bleeding a lot. I can't remember a single spot of Taiji.
No, I just remember seeing him bleeding. And I was like, huh.
When did that
happen? Gato almost killed himself. Which was like
splash.
Yeah, that was terrible. I mean, it was good pop for the crowd because he's taking out Dick Togo or whatever.
Yeah, well, kind of trying to take out Dick Togo.
The suplex out to everyone was pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they had a fun, entertaining match that the house does. Man, like this is what they do when you put them in this role to lose.
Sure.
Evil didn't get pinned, so it didn't mean as much. I understand that, but like, listen. We're saving that for Dominion.
Yes, Gabe Kidd pinning Red Narita, which obviously,
which
helps.
obviously, based on what I learned today, was to build him up for Dominion. So,
which makes sense.
Yeah.
I thought, back-to-back years of War Dogs and these things, you said you gave the praise to House of Torture, but I'm going to give those praise also to War Dogs
of
because
course I'm going to give the praise to House of Torture. Who do you think I am?
I know, but 2 years of like two incredibly, in my opinion, well done,
Brutal.
violent matches. Holy shit! Like,
they're definitely both been violent. I will not take that away from the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Hanari almost died, I think.
Basically, this they're really good at this format. They're exceptionally good in this format. I will say though, I really did like this as well. I thought it was a little slower than last year's, despite last year's obviously going way longer, if I recall. This just I think
God, last year's is still going.
Last year's was longer, but I felt that the pace in that one was better than this one for some reason. I can't really pinpoint exactly why, but it got to a certain
Wasn't
point where
last year's War Games rules?
Yes.
That's crazy. I've never heard. That's crazy pace-wise. Wow.
Yeah. I think maybe
I'm just going to say it's because of Osprey.
No, I think there was just more ideas for interesting things. You can do the TJP stuff. You had Hanari popping in here and there, which was fun. Here it got to a certain point where it just became really like, where the War Games can work as you doing one-on-one matches here and there, obviously, because of the War Games style of match. Here, it turned into a lot of one-on-one stuff. And I was, especially towards the end, where I was like, all right, I would like to see some more like everybody grouping up on a guy or, some more back and forth battles between everybody. Because it felt like after the beginning where, everyone is like hitting each other and then it sort of just became one-on-one multi-man stuff that we usually see from there. Not saying the match is bad, obviously. I liked this one less than last year. I still thought it was very strong. It was just, these are nitpicks at the end of the day for me of like, it got a little slow at times and I don't quite remember anything that with Kanemaru or Ishimori at all. Really.
That's not shocking. They were just there to fill the role.
Drilla Maloney drilling Sonata with the guitar. The House of Torture's Jeff Jarrett.
Shout out to Sonata's entrance hit, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
He was shiny.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, I thought it was a solid match. Just if albeit maybe like a little pace, just a little too slow for my life.
Yeah,
but, still very
last
strong.
Year's match sucked, so I was happy.
Mm-hmm.
I gave last year's match like a 2.
I know that's legitimately crazy.
I hate War Games. I hate War Games.
I personally, Scotty, I think it's because you hate War Games and it's more about the War Game.
I also don't like a lot of the people in that match last year. That did not help at all.
Sure.
I think I count like how many. Okay, let me think. Let me think who was in that match last year. At that time, who did I like? Oof.
That's awesome.
Because I didn't like Finley back then either.
Yeah, so. I know. Yes, because I was fully on the train of like Finley is the guy. Come on, and you're like, no, I don't know. I'm like, no, come on, he's here.
I don't think I liked really. I wasn't a big fan of any of those people, and some of them I hated. So yeah, that's a hell of a combo for me. Mm-hmm. This one had Evil. That one didn't.
Yeah, I could see the biases.
Evil should have won.
Well, we'll find out because obviously this all set up. I don't know exactly when it sets up.
Dominion, I
presume. Evil versus David Finlay in a dog collar match.
Yeah, that's the real right there.
That's
real business. That's legitimately. That's made for me right there. New Japan's like, I know you're out. I know you don't really care about anything going on. What if we put them in dog collars? All right, man. I'm in.
Yeah, that is a lot of interest to me. I think that match will obviously help out David Finlay significantly. The Evil side of things, I think it's the same thing in regards to this steel cage match where it's like, I don't necessarily know how the Evil side of things will work in that dynamic, but hey, I'm willing to find out,
Damn right. That's the King of Darkness, baby.
Yeah. I could totally here's the thing of the King of Darkness. I could totally see him at some point like Dig Togo coming out with like
Sonata turns again.
Sonata turns again. Sonata turns on the referee for some reason. I could see like in that match, like Dig Togo comes out with like a chain, like I forget what those things are, chain cutter. To break the chain.
That'd be funny.
Then House of Torture comes out and beats up David Finlay.
Yeah,
like that's the kind of match that I could see for that.
I'm fascinated at what it looks like.
Me too.
Like, it could be really great, or it could be an absolute mess, and I'm here for it either way.
Yeah. Night 2, obviously 5,400. You know, we obviously should point out Goto as a big part of that in the main event, but also
I'm certainly not going to give it to the person he was wrestled.
Yes. Well, I'm also going to give it to that this being Tetsuya Naito and Bushi's
that's a good point.
in New Japan.
So
pretty good.
Didn't think about that.
They had a multi-man match where obviously LIJ defeat Shota Umino, Tomohiro Ishii, Taichi, and Taka Michinoku. I didn't watch this match yet, but it was apparently really good and emotional. We also had Yota Tsuji defeats Uemura in IWGP Global Heavyweight Title match.
They flopped again.
What?
I heard they flopped again.
The Global Heavyweight Title?
Yeah, I heard those two just didn't have a great match.
Fully disagree. I think I went 4 on it. Cage match.
Whoa!
Cage match users have 3 people giving it a 9 and 1 person giving it an 8.
Well, that's good to hear. I didn't see it, so I have no fucking.
So here are, I guess, for you, Scotty, 5 recommendations on this match alone, because I thought this match, I think the beginning was a little weak, but by the end, I'm like, the match ended, and I was like, let's go, here we go. Like I got
good then.
The match really came together.
I saw some good, not great. I saw some. It's not doing it for me, but it's good to hear that's positivity too.
I don't know. I'm certainly in disagreement to that because I thought this match was really great. 4 flat, but still very strong. And obviously, IWGP World Heavyweight Title match to main event. Hiroki Goto defeats Callum Newman, which I watched it. I watched the finish also before we started, and not as good.
A 10 on cage match. There's no way.
No, there are some people that really liked it. I think Callum Newman had a good performance in it. Similar to, and to a certain degree, the Naito tag match that he had, right? You know, this match is being built around Newman as a sort of potential like upset guy, right? Because that is kind of how, to a certain degree, how he was able to defeat Naito and win the tag titles the first time around with Cobb. And I do think they did a good job in playing into that. And I think there was some fear polls from the crowd of Newman potentially beating Goto. So in that regard,
holy shit, that would have been bad.
Yeah. So in that regard, I think the match worked. I'm not as high as a full-on 5-star match. I think that's a little too high.
How high are you?
I'm probably like.
Can you take me higher?
I'm probably like 3 3/4.
Wow. I mean, I don't like Callum Newman, so.
Well, yeah, I think you got to watch this match. One for
Callum Newman, whose nickname is the Prince of Pace, is not that fast, by the way.
I think you have to watch this for Hiroki Goto.
Oh, I'm gonna watch it for Goto. I'll watch anything for Goto.
But 2, I do think that this is a really solid performance. That like I think this is the kind of match that Newman really needs, especially as they need to sort of emergency break glass for United Empire Callum Newman. This is kind of the match, the 1-2 punch of like this, the Naito tag win. I think this is the kind of stuff that like Newman really needs right now. And I think in that regard, it succeeded.
Well, that's good then. That's kind of what it's supposed to do, right?
Yep. It succeeded on that basis. So
yeah, I'm trying to figure out what's the last men's match I really enjoyed in for professional wrestling. Oh, Takeshi and Ospreay, and I was there. So that helps too. But yeah, that's good to know. Obviously it's good to hear that actually no, there was a CMLL match I liked. How about that? Anyways, moving on. That's good that it delivered. I mean, Hiroki Goto's Hiroki Goto. I didn't have that much fear that it wouldn't at least like hit a level, but I learned what's happening at Resurgence and my eyes rolled into the back of my head.
Oh, well, real quickly before
the Dominion match, I'm here for the Resurgence match. Womp womp.
Yeah, the the post-match stuff here. Well, there's a couple post-match stuff, I guess we could say. Post-match here was well, hold on, two things. One, we got another call at the end of the Yota Tsuji match, where obviously he retains the title. And then Naito, Bushi, Shingo, Hiromu all come out. They do that, and then the three that are stay in the ring. Bushi and Naito leave and go to the back of the curtain on that corner.
Yeah.
The crowd's all cheering Naito. Oh, sucks for Bushi. Crowd's all cheering Naito. Yota Tsuji stops him and says basically something along the lines of, even though we might be separated, we're always still connected. And Naito does the little cowboy pin in the hat gimmick or whatever, then walks out, and him and Bushi just walk into the shadows of the back curtain. And then there's just a palpable beat of silence from the crowd. And then just everyone erupting and yeah, Naito baby. And so that was very exciting.
Weird,
I did see in post-match commentary that Bushi and Shingo are all sort of stating that, yes, in fact, Scotty, LIJ is no more. That is what Bushi and Shingo are all alluding to, that LIJ does no longer exist.
You know what that means?
What?
New Japan lost their cash monster. That's oof.
Yes.
I mean, LIJ should not exist without Naito.
Agreed.
So
I like LIJ becoming a roaming faction. That there's something that fascinates me.
Don't we have 7 of those right now?
No, but I mean
Hontai, 3 factions in one.
LIJ becomes not to say that it goes into let's say Noah and then they make their own LIJ there. I'm saying that it just becomes this this nomad faction where it just sort of surrounds Naito and Bushi as they go from town to town.
Oh, I know what you mean. Okay.
Yeah, there's just something fun about that. Yeah.
That is fun. I think the funny thing about New Japan is that, well, not funny, maybe painful, but they've had to kill 3 factions this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not great.
That is, I'm fascinated by these sort of booking decisions that they're making. They are priming themselves obviously up for a massive reset, obviously in factions. It's just kind of when are they going to do that? Because they just keep losing factions.
LIJ being gone, and you kind of knew it with Naito gone. It wasn't going to have the same popularity anyways, but
yeah.
Holy shit, that's gone. Chaos is gone.
Just 5 guys? Can you believe it?
They changed the number so many times, doesn't matter, but that's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. You would have thought Gato got fired and they were we need to replace his factions that he came up with. You
would have thought that Taro Okada was the new booker of New Japan.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah, you would have. But hey, that's something. Do you see who's challenging Suge at Dominion?
Yeah. I don't remember who's Dominion, but the Zack Sabre Jr. and Shingo both came out, and
I said Tsuji.
Oh, Tsuji, Gabe Kidd. Yes, Gabe Kidd for Dominion. Gabe's winning. And then for Goto, it was Shingo and Zack Sabre Jr. challenge for Goto.
Yeah, Shingo for Dominion, Zack for whenever the hell resurgence is. Friday. Yeah, that's a better trade. If it was the other way around, I'd probably go insane. So
yeah, I mean it makes sense. But Shingo at Dominion is fascinating. I don't know.
Big.
That's a big match. I do enjoy that match.
I mean, Hiroki Goto versus Shingo Takagi is not going to get sadness from me.
No.
Who do you think I am? It does get sadness from me though. Another Zack Sabre Jr. singles match. That gets sadness for me. I'm done with this guy. God, go. And it's America, so no one's gonna care. No one likes Zack in America.
Well,
people
like Zack in America.
I guess. Who was it? His match with Hechicero? You could hear a pin drop.
The 6-man at WrestleMania weekend?
No, the one that oh god, that show. No, the one from Battle in the Valley.
Oh, I don't remember that match. I don't really remember that match.
I wish I didn't either. I remember every Zack singles match now. They don't stop. They just
here's the thing of Zack Sabre Jr. and I messaged this to you is that the thing of Zack Sabre Jr. is that you can speaking of a pinpoint, you can pinpoint the exact moment Zack Sabre Jr. started to downturn in New Japan, And that was, I believe, at Wrestle Kingdom January 4th when he came out with the Young Punks music. And then he continued to come out to that music, everything throughout. That music stinks, honestly. It's fun the first time you hear it, and then every single time afterwards, it is not exciting, especially compared to his previous movement. The lack of energy is so there, or not. I guess
auraless.
Yeah,
man.
it's so boring compared to what his previous music was that like ever since then, Zack Sabre Jr. has not been the same guy. And it really sucks. It really sucks. Before we move on to Resurgence, though, I do want to bring up that this I thought was a big weekend for a lot of the young guys. Gabe Kidd, I thought looked really good, obviously getting the win and then challenging Tsuji. Tsuji versus Yomura, like I said, I thought it was a really good match. Tsuji looking really
match
good.
of the weekend from New Japan.
That or
the match with Tajiri.
That or no, not the Tajiri match. It's either that or the steel cage match. As probably a match of the weekend for New Japan. But those guys had really good stuff. Like we said earlier, I thought we both thought Shota Umino looked pretty good. And his match with Shingo. I don't remember Ren Narita too much in terms of anything else.
I do. That man blood buckets. I'll never forget what he did.
That's what I was going to say. I don't remember anything else before that, but once he started bleeding buckets and then they zoom in and his face is dripping in blood.
Yeah, when I messaged you yesterday, I had not watched the show, but I saw a picture of that.
Yes.
Beforehand, and that's why I said what I said.
Oh, really? That's fun.
Yeah.
I think
I was like,
yeah, go ahead.
I just said to myself, I got to pay respect to this man for what he did for the love of the game.
Yeah. So I think it's only fair for us to revisit the classic Green Post Radio bit of going through what we have is the top 9 young guys in New Japan. And give us a little bracket here. Not a bracket, but I'll leave a little listing here. So, Scotty, where we left off February 16th, and now we're updating this May 4th, is you had Takeshita, Tsuji, Oiwa, Kid, Oleg Bolton, Kosei Fujita, Yuya Uemura, Ren Narita, and Shota Umino. So I'm just thinking of the audience. You don't have to think about that too hard.
Did you say Shota Umino was still last?
Yes, correct. I had Takeshita, Tsuji, Kid, Oiwa, Fujita, Uemura, Oleg Bolton, Ren Narita, and Shota Umino. So, Scotty, you don't have to think about your order and move things around. You can just go it off the dome flow state of, those are your 9 guys. What order are you putting them in?
I really wish I saw the Tsuji Yuya match.
Yeah, I think that would really change things, I think.
So I'm going to move Yuya up 2 blindly just because I like having his presence back. What was the match he had? Was it with he just looks good every time I see him. Like, he looks solid, and he's 30 years old. Holy shit.
Yeah.
What are we waiting for? Oh, his match with David Finlay I really liked. And I think that was after the fact. And I liked his match with Yoshihashi. So yeah. Him, I'll move him up too. So I'll move him up over Kosei and Bolton.
I'm just gonna assume. Well, who's your number 1? Let's just go in that order if that's easier.
Oh, you want? That's not easier. I don't remember everyone. Like, it's just easier for me to move it up. So just you have it in front of you.
Yeah.
So just move Yuya.
Let me share screen.
Put Yuya ahead of Oleg, and then that's it.
Let me share my screen because I think that will ultimately be better.
Okay.
Boop. And let's get rid of this thing on here. This will be easier for, I think.
You want to reveal all of your notes to the world?
I think it's fine. I think it's ultimately fine. So this is what we got. What are you thinking? You have I have like a new listing here. You have Takeshita.
Just move Uemura ahead of Oleg. That's it.
Uemura to 5.
Does Oiwa even wrestle anymore?
Oiwa, yeah, he wrestles.
I haven't seen him wrestling forever.
He wrestled recently. I don't remember.
He wasn't even on the show. Oh yeah, he was. He was in the Tajiri match.
Yes.
Which TMDK lost.
Yeah, they're struggling as a faction, I think.
You think?
So you're only moving Uemura up based on a match that you didn't watch?
Well, I liked his New Japan Cup.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Oh yeah, I guess New Japan Cup. We keep that in mind. So you still you have
like
Takeshita. Tell me if this feels right. Takeshita,
Mm.
Yota Tsuji,
Mm.
Rohei Oiwa, Gabe Kidd, Yuya Uemura,
Gotcha.
Bolton Oleg,
big man,
Kosei Fujita.
Did the stuff. I'll put him against ahead of Oleg.
Okay, I think that's fair.
I love Oleg, but they're not going with him yet. So I'm not changing the bottom. You cannot stop me.
And then Ren Narita, and then Shooter.
Ren Narita bled for this. Shooter Umino still pisses me off. There you go.
That's fair.
For you,
Takeshita, obviously.
The fact him counting is unfair.
Obviously.
Kid, I know. I know your top 3's on.
Yeah, Kid's probably still up there.
If anything, I thought Kid may have jumped ahead of Tsuji. That was the only thing I was wondering.
Ooh, yeah. No, I think Tsuji had a good defense of that in that.
That's true.
Global heavyweight title match. I'll go all the way down here, and I'm definitely gonna put Shooter last still.
Yeah, baby. Shouts out, big Ren Narita still on top.
Well, not on top, just not last.
He's on top. As long as he's not last, he's on top.
He's on top of last
because the house always wins.
I am definitely moving Uemura up from 6. He's above Fujita for sure. Is he above Oiwa? I think he is. Gonna do.
You know what I want to do?
All right, hold on.
I want to put.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, no, finish yours. Finish yours.
I'm gonna do Uemura, and then I'm gonna do. I think I'm gonna do Fujita next.
Nice.
And then Oiwa.
Tasty.
Oiwa.
Yeah, I have a problem with that. He's not doing anything. You can't say anything about him.
I think also in this time frame, Fujita had that really great tag team match.
Sure, he had a good run.
Not the Master Wato Yo match, which I didn't really too much care for in this past week.
Didn't even remember that happened. Didn't watch it.
But they had another match.
I was Templario and Destry.
It was pretty good. It was, you don't have to watch it. It's okay.
Sad.
And then Oleg Narita. I did not watch the tag match with Oleg yet, but I plan to. But I think I'm still going to do Oleg. I mean, Ren Narita getting
the big
bloody.
Man was getting moved up.
Well, that's the thing. Ren Narita ultimately, the only thing that of note in this past 3 months is him blooding up in the past.
It was real though.
It is real.
You know what? I think I might put
that's enough.
I might put Narita ahead of Gabe Kidd.
Narita ahead of Gabe Kidd? Is that what you just said?
I want to switch Yuya and Oiwa. I decided.
Okay, so you're doing
because Uemura is the one I prefer out of all the young guys, but had to work it back again. I haven't watched the match yet, but I've heard good things all of a sudden from you and the cage matchers. So
the inmates, I believe, as well.
And I liked his other thing. And oh god, I want to put Ren Narita 1.
That's insane. That's insane. That's insane behavior, and you know that, sir.
I might just put him 4. Move Gabe Kidd down out of spite.
What did he do to you? Out of spite?
Yeah. He yelled he was a madman for the 97,000th time. I think that's valid. I think that frustration's valid.
Just doing some
all right. No, that's good.
So you have.
I like my list.
So you have Takeshita, Tsuji, Uemura, Kidd, Oiwa, Fujita, Oleg Bolton, Ren Narita, and Shota.
Yeah, it hurts me. Oiwa's got to be that low.
I mean, yeah, I just don't think he's done enough.
He's not doing anything.
He's had single matches, but they're just sort of like, yeah, those are solid.
They're against no one.
I don't think we're gonna get really any movement from Oiwa until the G1.
Would you like to know the last time I watched him wrestle? Because I would.
Sure. I don't. Like I said, I don't think we're necessarily
April 5th. Oh, I liked his match with Takeshita. You know what? I'm still gonna leave him there. I feel like it's fine role for him.
Yeah, I think the big moves is you had Uemura up from 7 to 3. Kid dropped. Oiwa dropped from 3 to 5. Oleg Bolton dropped from 5 to 7, and that was all your movements.
Are you telling me I should move up Ren Narita right now?
I'm not saying that.
Ren Narita over Oleg.
Okay, that's fine. I had the same thought, so you're fine.
just because he bled for the love of the game. I love Boltin Oleg too, but listen.
Moving on up over here.
When I get back to this, like probably like mid G1 or post G1, it'll be very funny because I'll be like, "What the fuck happened? Why was Ren Narita 7?"
I had my only big movement I had was Uemura up from 6 to 4. Oiwa dropped from 4 to 6, so swap with Uemura, and then everything else is the same.
Wow. That's you're consistent. I'm not. That's the way this podcast goes.
Yeah, you're the chaos incarnate of the podcast, I guess.
Big take. Whoa.
Yeah, sorry, I clicked on the wrong thing. Dwayne popped up for a second. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about Resurgence then. I guess kind of what we already talked about is going to be Zack Sabre Jr. versus Goto for the title. That is fine, for a Resurgence crowd in the Toyota Arena in Ontario, California. I think that's fine. Other things on this card are as follows. There's a strong Survivor match between Alan Breeze and CJ Tino. That's whatever. That's just a bunch of trainees. A singles match between Fred Rosser and Matt Vandegrift. That's interesting, I guess. I guess Vandegrift is graduating the dojo. Maybe that's something to, be of interest. I don't know. 8-man tag team match here. The Young Bucks, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson with two... What is it? 2 OGs? What is it? What is the thing they said? two good brothers of theirs, I think is what they said.
I need to find a can so I can
versus, of course, the War Dogs, David Finlay, Gabe Kidd, Gato, and Clark Connors. So the belief here is that this is going to be the return of Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows to New Japan.
It's gonna be pretty bad though when imagine if they just have like the War Dogs lose right after they had the big monumental win. They're gonna because Gato's in the match.
You're right, Gato's getting pinned.
But
that sucks. That does. I mean,
semantics not great.
You know me. I'm obviously the AEW freakazoid of the podcast, but from the New Japan fan perspective, that sucks. That fucking sucks so much.
Freakazoid?
Yeah.
No.
That sucks for the War Dogs to then lose this match. I get it. It's the Young Bucks. I understand. But it's also Doc Gallows. I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Machine Gunka though, baby.
Yeah, we gotta respect Machine Gunka.
I might need to put that sound on here, just the opening of
the can. Yeah, that's
fine. And the machine gun.
Yeah, add it to my list. Add it to the list of things that we have to add on our soundboard.
You're excited for Machine Gunka, don't lie.
I'm fine. I'm tolerated with Machine Gunka.
That's the most exciting thing on this show besides Azumi getting pinned.
New Japan Strong Openweight Tag Team title match. The Jor-El Nelson, Royce Isaacs versus Templario and TJP. The outskirts of the United Empire for TJP and Templario.
Nothing says leadership like Templario. That's a shot at TJP. Not the leader. No. What a few weeks he had. I hope that match doesn't move me at all. No.
It doesn't.
I can't. I was trying to make something out of it. No, I get
it. New Japan Strong Women's title match 3-way here. Azumi, Mina Shirakawa, and Mercedes Moné.
Oh, Azumi, it might be time to lose again. It's tough when you're facing 2 AEW wrestlers, you really got it all stacked against you.
Yeah.
I think no matter what, it's Mina pinning Azumi or Azumi pinning Mina.
Oh, you think Mercedes Moné is starting to lose all of her titles here?
I would like to have a better understanding of why this is happening if it's not. Why couldn't we have just done a singles if she's keeping it? That's my thought process. Also, I've decided, this is my early prediction, Mercedes Moné is winning the
Owen
and challenging Tony, because screw you and your Chris Statlander, Willow Nightingale, Hope, Ryan. Screw you for that. Never gonna happen. Ever. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I don't know why she'd lose this title, but maybe they want to give something to Mina now that she's in America, or give something to Azumi because she doesn't win anything. I don't know, but I just feel like you don't make it a 3-way unless someone's dropping.
Yeah, I think that logic is fair. I do like the idea of giving it to Mina Shirakawa as just like a, the U.S. Strong, women's title. I think that makes sense. Monet losing it does feel strange. It doesn't feel like now's a good time for her to lose that title, but also these strong titles, the Rev Pro titles, these are just kind of props for her, just to give her all the belt stuff. If anything, you can tell that story of like, she lost the title, but I'm gonna gain another one at All In when I beat Toni Storm. So there's something there that you can still play with and make everyone look good at the end. So except for Azumi.
Yeah. That's the way it goes. I mean, it'd be sick if Azumi is winning, it's because New Japan for some reason wants that title in Japan and America. That would be the only reason.
Yeah, I don't think putting on Azumi is a terrible idea, especially right now for Stardom. But I get it. I get it.
You're right. You're true.
New Japan Strong openweight title match.
Actually,
yes,
you made a good point. If she's winning the world title, that's why.
Yeah.
They want to keep it off her so they can get the belt back. Because she ends up winning the world title, which if she goes to All In, she's winning the world title. Then that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't have creative control. Sorry, I had to say it once. Which I believe. Yeah. Creative input? Sure. Creative control? No.
Well, 100% she has creative input.
I've seen who she faced at Revolution. That was not a Tony Khan pick.
Yes, she does not have creative control in her contract. She just has heavy creative input, like many other top stars in
her own writer,
and also her own writer, who to a certain degree has creative control, and creative input. I guess
this is not Mercedes makes the TV better. So again, this is not me, but it's just like that story popped me because I was like, Tony Khan didn't book Momo Watanabe. It's like I could figure that out. But no, I like, to me, Tony Khan picking her to win the Owen is something I absolutely see. I don't see Mercedes being like, I'm winning the Owen or else. Like that's definitely not. That's why I think that report was necessary. But it just popped me this week because I looked at it. I was like, interesting. And I just learned that Tomohiro Ishii has a title. So continue.
Yeah, he is the New Japan Strong Openweight champion. He beat Gabe Kidd in that 60-minute Ironman match.
60?
Yeah, remember it was 60-minute Iron. It was the 60-minute.
Was it actually 60 or was it 30?
I believe it was 60.
It felt like 60, but was it 60?
I believe it was 60. I'll look that up.
I
believe it was.
think that's true.
Here he is defending the title against Drilla Maloney, who they've had some since Drilla moved up to heavyweight. They've had some, I think, some solid matches. Yes, it was 30 minutes. My apologies. It's 30 minutes.
I didn't watch it away. So,
Drilla Maloney, ever since he's moving up heavyweight, has had a couple singles matches of Ishii so far, and they've been kind of fun. So, this is now a title match. This could be pretty fun, I think, for me.
This match should not be higher than Mercedes Moné.
Yeah, I mean,
I see it on the card, and it might be.
I looked at the New Japan website, and they don't have a list, like a
okay,
a listing, I guess, yet.
I figured Takeshita would main event, so
yeah,
it was either gonna be Takeshita or Mercedes.
But now they have Goto. So
right, that'll main event. No, you're right. I forgot that was happening. Sorry, I'm looking at the New Japan website. That's why I forgot.
You know what they're going to do? It's going to be the
Machine Gunka.
No, it's going to be the New Japan Strong Openweight tag, the New Japan Strong Openweight title, then the New Japan Strong Women's title, then the Never Openweight title.
Yeah, the title, the real titles are the ones that go higher.
They always do the strong titles first, and then the big.
You're right. You're right. That's a good point. That's why you run the show.
Never Openweight title as well. Konosuke Takeshita versus El Phantasmo. Like I said, they did a little preview at Wrestling Dontaku, 15-minute time draw.
It was fun.
This one, the teaser here is that look, it's a Never Openweight title, which is a 60-minute time limit. So now we know they're going to go past 15. It's the whole thing. They're not going to. There's no way they're going to go to 60. But that was the.
They'll probably go to like 17.
I would love that. I think that'd be hilarious.
That'd be perfect.
I would laugh.
They have good chemistry. I mean, I'm not a big El Phantasmo guy, obviously.
What I did like about their Dontaku match is that they teased you, if you recall, in AEW, I want to say Revolution or something. There was a sort of ladder match or something between El Phantasmo and Takeshita and a bunch of other people. But basically, Takeshita doing a Blue Thunder Bomb to El Phantasmo through like the tables or ladders or something.
Yeah.
They teased that same spot to the floor on the Wrestling.
Do you remember the G1 match they had too, where he did the not the Dude Buster. Momo calls it the B driver. I don't know what it is, but he did that. Takeshi did that. So if he does that on through a Japanese table, oh no, because that's what they bring, right? They don't use.
I think they use the Japanese tables.
Yeah, that's terrifying. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's very scary.
I think this match has potential to be pretty good, or really good. So be on the lookout for that. I don't think it's out of the question for this to be really
breaking news. Takeshi might have a really good match.
Yes. Well, I guess the breaking news really applies to El Phantasmo, but yes, you are also
all right. You boom roasted him, not me.
And then right before we go, let's talk about the Best of Super Juniors. This is obviously starting this Saturday over in Japan, of course. The 31st Best of Super Juniors
excited for this.
Begin on May 11th, ends on June 9th, sorry, in Osaka-jo Hall at Dominion, in fact. We have a bunch of people in here from New Japan, CMLL, Ring of Honor, Noah, Dragon Gate. The blocks are as follows, Scotty. No, sorry, we don't have anyone from Noah here. My apologies. But the blocks are as follows for the 32nd Best of Super Juniors, May 10th to June 1st. Was I reading the wrong one? Was I reading the 2024 listing? Yes. May 10th to June 1st at Odo City General Gymnasium. The blocks are as follows. Block A, Master Wato, Hiromu Takahashi, Kushida, Kosei Fujita, Ninja Mac, which doesn't have a no logo to him, has a New Japan logo. Robbie X, Francisco Akira, Clark Connors, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, and Dragon Dia, of course, from Dragon Gate. Thoughts on Block A?
The way you said that was so funny. He's like from Dragon Gate.
From Block A, what do you
Block
think?
A is better than Block B.
You think A is better than Block B?
Yeah, because I know the matchups. Like I know, I have trust in Desperado, and I will always have trust in Desperado. Mm-hmm. Teton, obviously the man. Hilarious that he was a mystery up until this week, though. I think that's the funniest thing they've ever done, which made me think that maybe like Soberano Jr. or someone was once upon a time going to be it, and then
that's a fair point. That's a fair question.
Yeah, which makes me sad, obviously. But
they
should have just.
That devastates me to my core.
They should have just both been in it, in my opinion. Yeah. More CMLL and less random person from somewhere.
From DDT. We'll get to Block B in a moment, but DDT.
I know a lot of people are excited about him, but it's less. I'm not excited for Nick Wayne, but you have to have an AEW person in here, and that's the type of thing AEW should do if they have the opportunity to send one of the young guys. So
agreed.
Can't fault that.
Agreed.
All right, maybe not. Okay, I'm not gonna lie to you. I just turned my head, saw Teton Desperado night one, and that's why I said A Block's the better one. I got excited.
I said, how would you thought of Block A? And then you named a bunch of people from Block B and said, I'm excited about those.
Well, I saw Des being Teton, and I'm like, that speaks to me, but my bad.
Yeah. So, any thoughts on Block A?
It's gonna probably be Hiromu.
Yeah. Especially the LIJ stuff. I think that's a fair thought. Block B, El Desperado, Rusuke Takuchi, Robbie Eagles, Yo, Kevin Knight, Taiji Shimori, Teton, Sho, and Nick Wayne, and Mao in here. Any matchups there that you're interested in?
Oh, this is definitely. You know why I got confused? Because I'm looking at the matchup for night one, and I thought they were going by night. They're splitting them. So very confused when you just said all those names and I missed half of them. I was like, what? I'm excited for Kevin Knight. I'm always excited for Kevin Knight.
Yep.
He's the man, obviously. Taguchi bothers me, but like, why are you still here, buddy? You were supposed to be out after last year. Like, what? They couldn't find one more junior.
Was it last year or 2 years ago? I feel like it was 2 years.
It was last year because he won on the final night. Dragon Dia finally won on the final night by beating Taguchi, and everyone was like, "What?"
Yeah.
I don't know if B Block's good.
No, Taguchi wasn't in. I'm looking at it right now. Taguchi was not in Best of Super Juniors last year. It must have been 2023.
Yes, he was.
I'm looking at it right now. I don't see Taguchi's name in here at all. I'm looking at the blocks. You cannot tell me I'm lying.
New Japan, BOSJ, 2024.
2023, he had 2 points in 2023.
2024, he wasn't in it?
No.
Didn't he get hurt?
Originally, Yo and Taguchi were scheduled to participate in the tournament, but due to injuries, were replaced by Kushida and Daya, respectively.
That's right. Kushida was the one that they didn't put in originally, and then he had like one of the best tournaments. Morons. You know who I miss?
Who was that?
Looking at all this, I miss Doki.
I do miss Doki. There's no Doki.
I miss Doki
here.
a lot. Doki was the star of the show. Now he's not here, so that's why I'm all messed up. Oh boy. These blocks are fine. I'm having a hard time, and I don't know if you feel this way. I'm having a hard time getting excited for the Best of Super Juniors because I don't. And again, this has been my constant throughout the show. Not really latching on to many things outside of my little bubble. However, it takes like one good night to change that. So
that is true.
That happens.
Well, we'll look at real quickly night 1. The block A matches here: Kushida versus Hiromu Takahashi, Yoshinobu Kanemaru versus Dragon Daya, and Francisco Akira versus Kosei Fujita. Block B here on night 1 is Teton versus El Desperado and Sho versus Nick Wayne. You have to imagine Nick Wayne will probably pick up the win and possibly Dragon Daya. I'm not sure.
block is so much better now that like I can look at it and stare at it because I finally found the right graphic. I looked at the wrong. When they announced them, I don't know if you've seen it. They have like that on top and on bottom, and I have thought this entire time those are the blocks, even with you saying them because I am a visual learner. But now that I see it, I understand why you looked at me crazy. You were like, "What do you mean? Like one of them has Robbie X and Ninja Mac, and the other one doesn't." My bad. That first night's great.
Agreed.
I think that first night's great. I think that really sets the bar. Again, that's why I said great. That's again why I said A was the best, because I looked at that and I was like, this is A? This is great. This is not A. This is split. But it's a great block overall. Desperado and Teton is your likely main event to kick things off. That's the type of match that will get me into the Best of Super Juniors. Running back Kushida and Hiromu, my main event.
That's a fun match through memory lane.
Yeah, I mean the last time they like went outside, right?
Yeah, I think so. You know what match?
So weird.
Big time circle. Not just for this show, but also I think for people that could have a good Best of Super Juniors. Francisco Akira and Kosei Fujita on night 1.
Kosei Fujita losing the belts right before.
Yes,
very interesting.
That is very interesting to me. The moment that happened, I looked at the screen. I was like, I started putting my fingers together. Like, very interesting indeed.
That would be my favorite pick to win.
Okay.
I want him to win. If I had personal pick, I want him to win. But I don't have personal pick.
Would you like to go and discuss the final nights of Block A and Block B? I have them up right here.
I would love to. That I just learned Hiromu versus Fujita is the Cork and Hall match.
Oh, that's a pinpoint match.
Also, Desperado versus Nick Wayne. Continue.
Interesting. Well, that's a showcase, I think, ultimately. Night 11. This is going to be. This is the Block A finals. That's what we have here. Dragon Daya versus Ninja Mac. That's nothing.
Losers.
That does not matter.
I'll be mean the whole way.
Clark Connors versus Kosei Fujita. That
definitely is going to have stakes.
That has stakes.
Clark should get a nice little bump.
Agreed.
Too.
Agreed. Is Taiji Ishimori in this thing? Did I say his name already?
Yeah, he's in it.
Okay, yes, he is. He's on Block B.
I'm just not excited for him. Continue.
Yeah. Hiromu versus Robbie X.
Well, that's interest. I could see them give Robbie X a shocking win to keep Hiromu out.
Yeah, that feels like a knockout match potentially.
It feels like a spoiler.
Yeah,
one for a guy that wasn't even going to be in it, but Bushi said, "I'm out."
Yeah.
Oh my god, that would have been Bushi and Hiromu, the feelings. Instead, it's bald white guy.
Yeah.
All right.
Kushida versus Francisco Akira. I think that also may be a knockout thing, at least for Akira, perhaps.
Could definitely have some meaning there. And then Desperado versus wrong block. My bad.
And then Master Wato versus Yoshinobu Kanemaru. That just screams to me as a tag team title setup.
That screams to me as a potential knockout only for Wato.
Sure.
With the heel guy. there's 2 finalists, right? That move on still.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I could see Kanemaru like going into the night. Watto has a chance, but Kanemaru wins, and they set up the tag belts that way for sure.
Yeah.
Like I think keeping most of that in play is definitely for the better for them. I could also see like Hiromu, for example, already being in.
Sure.
By the time you get here,
plausible.
So that's a good final night, though. Like, there's a lot to think about there. Good job, New Japan.
Yeah, there's definitely at least 4 matches of the 5 that I'm like, yeah, that could all be something. Night 12, this is going to be the final night for Block B. Kevin Knight versus Taguchi. Oh, darn. I don't think that means anything. Desperado versus Robbie Eagles.
Oh, that definitely means something.
At the very least, it might mean a title challenge for old Robbie Eagles. Taiji Shimori versus Yope.
I hope that means nothing.
Yeah. Again, that could be a tag title thing. I mean, Kanemaru's not with Ishimori anymore, but like, that could be a.
Oh, yeah. I was like, damn, they really set it up like that. And I was like, they're not together anymore. Damn. Yeah, no, that for sure, though.
That you know what that screams to me? A Dominion 3-way between the War Dogs of Ishimori and Robbie X, Yo and Master Wato, and the House of Torture folks of Kanemaru and the other junior Show.
Yeah, I can see that.
Speaking of Show versus Mao, that means nothing. Hate to say
that
means nothing.
Think it could.
You think it could?
Sadly.
For whom? For Show or Mao?
I don't know.
Block B actually
they like the.
Like, I don't know who this what means
anything. Right, like that's the thing because we already said 2 are like no, and I'm like okay, then one of these has to be. And
the other match in Block B is Teton versus Nick Wayne.
Dear God, is Nick Wayne fighting for a spot?
I think he is. I mean, Teton, 4
New
finalists.
Japan fans are gonna lose their fucking shit, dude. Okay, I'm gonna pick my 2 finalists for each side.
Okay.
On A side, what was the date of the final night for that one?
I believe the 28th is the date of night 11. It's 9/11, tag 12 if you're looking at on Cage Match.
Oof, okay. Hold on. This is normal tournament this year.
What do you mean?
It's just one person makes it. There's no semifinal.
Okay, great. Then yes, it's just the finals.
That makes my life so much easier. I'm thinking of all these like different situations
scenarios and stuff.
Yeah. Okay, that changes everything. Kosei Fujita. Kosei Fujita faces Clark Connors, and then Kushida faces Akira. Those feel like the 2 big ones now. With Hiromu maybe getting upset by Robbie X.
I'm not positive. I'm looking at the Wikipedia, and Wikipedia has semifinals and finals, so I don't know.
I'm looking at the New Japan dates. There's not a date for semifinals. Okay. There's just dates for finals.
Is there? And there isn't, and they don't have semifinals listed as like the same night.
No.
Interesting.
It goes from the final night of Block B to the final.
Okay. So, well, I guess they could do it the same night, but
I feel like that date would just be there.
Yeah.
So that changes a lot. I'm gonna go with shit.
I mean, Despy on Block B means that Block A might be a winner. That does anything for you. That makes it even harder for you.
Because Despy's the champion, which makes Block B so confusing.
Yeah, and also that final night, I'm so confused about anything here.
Like, I feel like Block A has most of the contenders.
Agreed. Which makes sense.
Akira, Fujita, Hiromu. That's it. But, like, those are 3. But on Block B, it's like they have Teton.
Yeah. I really like Francisco Akira as a winner. But I'm also between that and Fujita. As a block.
I'm going to go with Fujita.
Yeah.
I think want to go big with him.
I
want them to go big with him.
Yeah. I can see him because it's like, you don't want Clark Connors getting the win there, and also Kanemaru getting the win over Wato, and also Robbie X getting the win over Hiromu.
Right.
I mean, I guess Clark is not really a heel. He's like, tweener, heel leaning, right? But like, you don't want all of those guys picking up wins over the big time faces. So I can see Block B, it's like, I don't freaking know who's going to have who's going to have a great match with Fujita and put him over. Not Nick Wayne. Teton?
That's right. Teton. Yeah, fuck yeah. Give me that final right there. No, I wasn't saying Nick Wayne, but I was gonna say there's a chance that Nick Wayne has a better shot of getting to the finals than Kevin Knight, and that disgusts me.
I tend to agree.
That's ridiculous. I know like one's been in AEW longer, but like, come on, man.
Like Kevin Knight has a dual contract. What are we doing here?
I know that should mean more. Yeah, give me Teton versus Kosei Fujita. That's like best case scenario final.
That sounds pretty good.
So actual final,
I'll take even Akira. I mean, Akira Teton sounds great as well. You know,
actual final, it's gonna be Hiromu and Sho.
It's gonna be Hiromu and Ishimori.
Yeah, I was gonna say like it's probably
no. By the way, real quickly, that Block B, I glossed over it, but that cannot be a worse match for me personally. Taiji Shimori versus 2025's Taiji Shimori against 2025's Yo. Fuck, dude.
Yo, that stinks. Yeah, Block A is better. Like in terms of excitement, Block A is better. Because it's contenders and whatnot.
I think Block B has individual matches that excite me. Despy versus Knight and Wayne, and I think Mao is interesting.
Just say all of Despy's matches.
Well, I mean, Despy versus Taguchi doesn't necessarily get me going. It could be
it'll probably be pretty cheeky.
I was gonna say it could be that like the Despy DDT.
Where you got the cheeks out.
Yeah. So it could be, I guess. There's stuff in the Eagles versus Kevin Knight that actually very much interests me a lot. I think they've done it before, but I'm still excited.
I think Block B needed like a Kushida to really bump it up in terms of like quality. Not even like, I'm not sending like the best guy over, even though Kushida's had a really good tournament last year for those who forgot. But like him versus Akira last night, that's just awesome. Like that should be really good.
Yeah.
I just feel like Block B is missing one guy,
Yeah.
Like, it's either a lot of youth or a lot of uncertainty or fucking Taguchi.
Yeah. They
have all the outsiders.
I also just realized we're going to get a Show versus Yo match as well.
So, yeah, it's happening in Corrigan.
That makes sense. What are you have the Corrigan Hall date and the matches in front of you?
I do. Yes, I do. Okay, here's Corrigan Hall on the 14th. You have Ninja Mac versus Francesco Akira.
That's exciting.
Kushida versus Robbie X.
Fine. I'm fine with that.
Hiromu versus Kosei Fujita. That's absolutely a main event.
Yeah.
If it's not, then Fujita might not be winning this thing.
Yeah.
Clark Connor versus Yoshinobu Kanemaru. So the continuation of that feud.
I like that feud, so that's fine.
Master Wato versus Dragon Daya. That should be a little fun.
That's a fun opener.
It'll be an opener that's like 6 minutes. El Desperado versus Nick Wayne.
Yep.
Gucci versus Teton. Kevin Knight.
That fascinates me. That match fascinates me on a level I can't describe.
Kevin Knight versus Robbie Eagles.
Okay. Yep. That's good.
Mao versus Ishimori and Yo versus Sho.
Yeah. That's a really good Corrigan Hall, I think.
Then on the second one, you have
Dragon Daya versus Corrigan Hall?
Back to back.
Okay.
You have Daya versus Connors. You have
Sure.
Kushida versus Mac.
Sure.
Takahashi Hiromu versus Akira. So he's wrestling the two people we see as favorites. Okay. So that might be very telling.
Yeah.
Robbie X versus Kanemaru.
Okay. Yeah. Again, that Robbie X versus Kanemaru plays into my 3-way Dominion tag title bit.
Yeah. Match is brutal though. Master Wato versus Kosei Fujita.
Okay. That could be good.
El Desperado versus Taiji Shimori. So there's your main event.
Yeah. That always has potential with those guys, but it's whatever.
I know this match is going to be funny because it's on Corrigan and there's way too many other big matches. Taguchi versus Sho. That's
gonna be 7 minutes of nonsense.
It might not even make 7 minutes. It might be closer to 7 seconds. Do you remember Sho last year on like the last night? He was in the contention, then he like lost in like 2 seconds. It was it was really well done.
That match, Scotty, that match is gonna be 7 minutes of not a match, and then 2 minutes.
Oh yeah, and then the bell rings and then he loses.
Yeah.
Yo versus Kevin Knight. They're not the same.
I don't give a shit about Yo. I don't care.
I really wish Kushida and Kevin Knight could have faced off.
Agreed.
Robbie Eagles versus Nick Wayne.
Okay, that excites me.
Teton versus Mao. So DDT versus CMLL. That was a
Oh.
fun little match.
It is a fun little match.
They did good. They did good for the Corkins.
Agreed.
That's the only nights that they do all the matches.
Yeah. I think it's fair. I think we're both sort of leaning towards Fujita versus Akira, especially if those two Korakuen Hall Hiromu matches, especially since they're facing off each other on night one. I think those are your biggest potential for the winners of this whole thing. I'm fascinated to see.
As a winner.
B, I don't feel like is going to be a winner. It's just about who's going to get the best match out of the other guy.
Right. Who do you want in there to do the best for the other?
I can't wait for a show to win from Block B, the whole thing. But yeah, I think I think if you're going to watch anything, it's Block A for sure. Block B will get you interesting matches here and there.
But watch Despy and Teton.
Yeah, I think, and Kevin Knight, there's stuff in there that's going to have interesting
Kevin Knight versus Teton.
I think Block B has like a really high ceiling, like maybe a ceiling that's higher than Block A. Like Teton versus Despy. Kevin Knight versus even Nick Wayne. That would be interesting.
Their peak matches are higher, but like consistency will be A block.
Yes.
I don't think that's up for debate. I think I'm definitely in agreement for sure there.
So another Best of Super Juniors. That should be a fun tournament.
Because A has all the veterans too.
Exactly right. I guess other than Despy and Taiji Ishimori.
Yeah,
but yes,
they have everyone else.
Yes. Well, yeah, that is it for this week's episode of Ring Post Radio. Scotty, I know you've been in your bubble of Joshi for a while now, but do you have any other match of the weeks? And I know you have a bajillion plugs.
Well, I truly, legitimately just watched the Mayu versus the 9 match, so it'll be that.
Okay.
And then plugs. Plugs. Let's do youtube.com/@ScottEWrestling. That's the best place to find everything I'm doing at this point of the game. I did a lot of videos this week about Mayu leaving, about Mayu joining Marigold. Podcast every Friday. Just put up one about Nanai and Mayu, so get more of my thoughts on that. And that's it.
Okay, great. My match of the week is going to be from AEW Dynamite. It's going to be the main event, Adam Page versus Kyle Fletcher. It pissed off a funny amount of people on Blue Sky, weirdly enough. Didn't expect that one, but it pissed off a weird group of people on Blue Sky. Match was really great. I mean, even the opener, the multi-man all-star tag extravaganza was really fun, but the main event was also really great. So shout out to those boys. I went 4 1/4 on that main event. My plugs are going to be, we talked about it already. I recorded another episode of The Ballot. It's not coming out this Wednesday, but next Wednesday, all about Io Sky, Io Shirai, with Scotty here. And of course, a third guest, which is we did not reveal, but I'm not going to reveal. Maybe we'll reveal it next week, but that's their little teaser for the upcoming week, is that there is we have a third man, Scotty, and I can tell everyone now it's not Hulk Hogan. Thank God. Thank God it's not Hulk Hogan. Tony Storm lover, Hulk Hogan. Yeah, we have another episode of The Ballot coming down on the 14th of May is when that will release. Best of Super Juniors is around the corner, which means I was in the middle of the Best of the Bosch Patreon series on Count Out Patreon, patreon.com/countoutpod. I have already put out, I want to say 3 or 4 episodes. I want to say 3 perhaps this season. And I plan to have at least 2 more, definitely 1. I'll probably have 1 out tomorrow, or at the very least Tuesday, but definitely 1 out tomorrow about another Best of Super Juniors, and hopefully a second one by the end of the week before Best of Super Juniors starts on Saturday. So again, patreon.com/countoutpod. You can get a free trial. You can get it's only $5 a month. You can hear all the Best of Super Juniors along with all the other old stuff on the Patreon as well. Other than that, I don't really think I have many other plugs. Count Out Network on all social media. Listen to all of our other shows on the Count Out Network, like Jumping Knee Pod, Ichiban Sweetcast. You want to hear more about the Best of Super Juniors, more in-depth talk, you can listen to Ichiban Sweetcast. They also talk about the Naito leaving, so you can hear more about that there. Jeff Cobb and TJP and Bushi and the laundry list of people that are leaving New Japan. A lot of great stuff here in the Count Out Network. I think that's pretty much it for me. We didn't get to everything this week. Dragon Gate Dead or Alive has a show tomorrow, so maybe we'll have time to discuss that next week. We'll find out. But no matter what, we'll be here next week on Monday. Oh, I guess that's my plug. This weekend I'm running a 5K. I've been kind of training for that for a while. I don't know how good I'm going to do, but I'm sure that'll be the opening conversation of our show next week, Scotty. But I'm going to be running a 5K this weekend. It's called the Heartist Yard, like the hardest yard, but with a heart. It's basically a charity 5K run for, I forget the exact right word, but basically it's a charity run for helping to raise money for children's hospitals, specifically children who suffer from various heart-related issues. Maybe a child who's born with a missing valve or something like that. There are people in my in-laws family that, there's a couple of people in my in-law families that have heart-related issues like that. So it's a charity run that is near and dear with my in-law family. They've been part of it for many years. We raised the most money last year for this 5K. So we were appreciative of everyone that donated last year. I was planning on making a thing in Ring Post Radio of bringing it up of I'm doing this. I love the support. It's going to go to a great cause. This is a charity that's run by Greg Olson, former tight end of the Panthers. So I meant to do that as part of a thing, and I totally forgot every single week, but I'm just going to bring it up now that I'm doing that this weekend. Heartist Yard. I'm not going to say where the charity, I guess I should say where the charity part is, but I also don't know where it is off the top of my head. So maybe I'll try to find a link of it in the description. If you would like to donate, it's going to good people. It's going to help people. It's helping people in my own in-law family life, I guess, who they have a young, I want to say 3-year-old who was born with a degenerative heart condition. So, it's very important. It's going to help a lot of people. And I think, not to make it political, but I think, with a lot of the federal funding of various things kind of going away, that's always a concern, especially for these sort of things. So I think now more than ever, it's kind of important to make sure to help out, those who need it, especially children in today's society. Well, that is it for this week's episode of Ring Post Radio. We want to thank everybody for listening to this week's episode. We'll be back on Monday the 12th. Talking about whatever is in the news of professional wrestling. I know for Scotty, I plan on being here Monday, but if Scotty remembers from last year, I came back from that 5K and was sick for an entire month. So, fingers crossed, everybody. So until then, we'll see you all next time and enjoy your Taco Bell.